maybe Ryan's penalty this morning. It's good to see that's what the second goal. He's had a bit of a rough run, Duke. To set up that first goal was a nice ball, and then lucky innings was still some 30. Imagine Crooks Hills. He didn't Edgeworth, hasn't he?
Zara's my assistant. Luca, my son, he's he calls him old man, so probably trying to find out, I think. Do it.
Carrying more in a different jersey, do it. It should be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame we haven't seen them play each other yet, actually, because they've sort of played in the league.
Yeah, because we've had so many translation, postponements, sorry, for that. Oh.
Well, they conceded 4 in 10 games or 9 games. Was it 2-0?
Yeah. That's very close.
Well, that is starting to settle out too, isn't it? When you look at the NPL, like the game this weekend, the match that we're on Saturday, Girls One vs Crooks Hill. Like, if someone takes 3 points from that, it's huge. Like, basically all but guaranteed you won't go straight into relegation, and you probably won't play in the playoff if those Girls One get. Girls One have gone 5 games without losing. Yeah, 4 draws, but just that still, and just strangle them into it.
Bud like this. Wet the ground.
Just bloody murder. Yeah, inconsistent too in terms of the team moves. Like, there's no who you need to get into this bit of a settled lineup. Like you said the other night, though, I feel like the Newcastle side is 1 win away from getting 4 wins in 8 games. And then all of a sudden, Valentine's just sitting there going. They'll get some moments of brilliance in the end sparks from these couple of young boys. So they're 17 and 19, if anyone knows. Jensen and he's great for the competition just to see him win 2 games, just get 8 points, just to see how those other couple of teams just start. And then, they go into games against Valentine and stuff, and they've got the momentum, and it's all of a sudden. You don't want it just to be like the EPL was this year, where it's like 5 games to go, and it's like, well, they're doing that. Like, so many people just kind of over here, just lost interest in what's going on, right? It's almost like there's more at stake, right? Especially with Broad Meadow or Edgeworth, he just hasn't won for a little bit. That are up the top, okay, well, there's a story there, But again, when you have a look at those sort of top 7 at the moment, down to Lambton, it's kind of who you expect to be the top 7. I'm just sitting there looking at my objective going, do I want to put it on? But then I'm like, by the end of the game, I'm You got the Catabon there, just sort of going on. And I rocked up to the under one the other day, and I had this on, then all of a sudden the sun hit us. And I was just sitting there straight to off in a sizzle lift. And the facility up there, like the ground, the pitch itself, they got redone last year. Like, you walk 2 foot off the pitch and you'd sink like that far into the ground, but on the pitch it was like they had frost, so the grass was a bit crispy, but it was thick, so the ball was slow, so things had to work and run, which was just glad they got on there, and then there was talk they were going to have to especially in those competitions, we get the host teams. And, the other thing I think looking through most of the squad, Edgeworth have used us for those and it never hurts. It's good when you have Jose come off the bench, isn't it? I'm saying Weston might be the exact day at least for them. I think Edgeworth first has scored them twice. They just won so far. Mostly up here for Weston, I think, another year, watched out. Some clubs like Harker and Townsend used to be shockers, and now like St John Oval, which all the money that got spent on it with Charles and Clare. I don't know what happened, but there's some silt issue, and then the grass roots broke up, and it's like clogged their drainage, so the water doesn't drain at all anymore. And apparently they've been quoted like 6 years to fix. And like it's Charlestown, like it's several leagues above it.
That was fun.
I don't think it was the actual drainage. It's to do with when they resaved the tower and it didn't take properly, and then because it broke down or something ended up getting into the drainage. Yeah, so someone here, someone the other week, and I was just like, that sounds like an absolute nightmare. And then yeah, like it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. A bit more money than others, but I miss the old days of the Ferris over there, next to the Bowling Club. I remember playing school games and the fence actually went into the inlet. I played with Glendale High one day. Someone grabbed the ball in the inlet, hit the fence and rolled back in. The referee's like, oh no, that's not dead. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's hit the fence. It's not indoor soccer. And the old hill, that was out on the old hill at St John, and they get there and they park up on there with their megaphones. And yeah, which has been the only thing that's helped us out a few times when it's been really wet, because you've got 4 grades kind of seniors, so they play the 19s and women's on the low field, and then or even reserve grade just keep the top field just for first grade. The only thing is I think they got sort of changed on the grandstand they built, and they promised them a grandstand, they thought they were going to get something like session. It's like half shelter. So they just basically modernised it, they hadn't moved over. The cost of a little bit of concrete and some steel isn't the big cost, is it? Carving through that hill and everything this year.
Test for the gentlemen.
stats reader yesterday, 2022, they played, it was like round 5. But, have to be at that point. But.
What do you think Jeremy's doing when he's staying with us? Dad, I'll charge you.
You're on Adelaide time, mate. You're there.
There's a smarty pants here.
I've never noticed that.
Because we don't want to be in a position where we're just about run down the field. We get 20 off.
Good evening and welcome to Rockwell Automation Park, and welcome to what could be a night for the Weston Bears history books or another chapter in the long-running Australia Cup playbook of the Edgeworth Eagles. It's round 7 of the Northern New South Wales Australia Cup preliminary games, the final stop before the national round of 32. And tonight's winner joins a big dance with 21 other NPL qualifiers and an almost full crop of A-League clubs. For Weston, this is uncharted territory. The Bears have never made it to the main draw in the Cup's 12 prior editions, but they've got the squad, the form line and the home crowd to change that narrative tonight. Meanwhile, Edgeworth, they're a different story. You could argue they've got almost a reserved seat in the round of 32 draw by now. 6 previous appearances, a 7th on the line tonight. They've played on this stage and lost to both Olympic Kingsway and Western United in the last 2 years, and they'll be desperate to make it count this time. They do come in fresh. Their round 6 preliminary match was a win via forfeit, meaning even less football in recent weeks for the Eagles. Western, meanwhile, edged past Lambton just last weekend and sit 3rd in the league, fit, firing and ready. It's a nice little subplot. These two were meant to meet in the league a month ago, but the weather gods pulled rank. Their clash rescheduled for July 16 and another clash in August. But tonight, no postponing anything. Plenty of talent on both sides. Weston with Hatfield, Farling, Niankura and Archbold, all capable of changing a game. Edgeworth, they've got Flynn Goodman, who scored in last year's national round of 32, and a backline that's been rock solid all season in the league, just conceding 4 goals. Throw in their Kiwi trio led by league's leading scorer Ryan Foots, and they have an absolutely phenomenal arsenal. Alongside me tonight in commentary, a man who's guided teams through nights like this, a former Cup campaigner himself with Broadmeadow and Edgeworth, and now mentoring the next generation with the Jets Academy, Damien Zane. Welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
Damien, you've coached in these sorts of moments. Let's be honest, how are the nerves when you're watching and not pacing a change room pre-game?
Yeah, look, I used to have a little bit of a secret that I would tell the boys, look, you've only got 90 minutes, so if it isn't working, I might have to make a sub after 15. So that seemed to work, the trick, because no player wants to get subbed. So I'm not sure whether it worked or not, but we had a bit of success. So, look, these days you need to start well. And you can't win it the first 15, but you can definitely lose it. So got to start well, get yourself in the game. Defence plays a big part in these games as well. So I think I'm leaning Edgeworth for that reason, but I also know it was always tough to come to Weston when I was a player and a coach at Edgeworth. So should be a good contest.
Certainly promises an enthralling contest. They hit second and third in the league. We know what's on the line here. A chance to go and play with some of the bigger boys of Australian football, some of the top-tier clubs from other NPL leagues, and as we said, the majority of the A-League clubs as well. It's a huge opportunity for these clubs. We're talking about it off-air. You've been part of it before, because one of the big draw cards is the possibility of hosting an A-League side, which obviously not just the impact that makes to the community, but to the club as well is massive if you get that chance.
Yeah, for me, the Cup was massive because I guess the first year I was just coaching the under-15s and we're at a tournament in Sydney and we went and watched Sydney United versus Sydney FC in front of about 9,000 people, and that's when it really ignited, I guess, the passion inside me for the Cup, and it had some amazing nights.
Well, it is a wonderful chance for these teams, if they can make it through, to go on to a giant killing run. Let's have a look at how the two teams do line up. The Edgeworth Eagles, first, the visitors. In goals, number 1, Ben Conway. Number 2 is Aaron Petisano. Number 4, Xander Wowries. 5 is Tyler Harrison. 6, Chris Fayers. 7, Andrew Powick. 9 is Ryan Foots. 11, Flynn Goodman. 12, Jalen Rodwell. 15, Jackson Brady. And 19, Tyson Jackson. They are, of course, coached by Peter McGuinness. For the home side, the Western Bears, in goals, number 30 is George Stevens. 3, Mana Iwasaki. 4, Dom Archibald. 6 is Chris Hurley. 7, Connor Evans. 8, Dylan Burston. 9, Chris Hatfield. 10, Aaron Niankuru. 11, Blake Archibald. 12, Cooper Buswell. And 18, Burke Farling. And they are coached by Q Jalians. Damien, I mentioned it before, for Edgeworth, you just feel they're going to try and build this around their defence. What their season's been built on to this point. They're undefeated in the league, and they've only conceded 4 goals in their campaign so far.
Yeah, I think it's no secret that we built off our fantastic defence, and I watched them early in the year against Lambton, and I feel like they've got the same sort of defensive line that we had back in the day. So, yeah, they'll be looking to build off that. Don't concede, you need just 1 goal. So they don't play defensive in any way, but they're very good defensively.
They certainly are. As you say, though, they've got ability in attack as well. They've got the league's leading scorer up top. This is going to be a promising one. The Bears as well, they've got plenty of goals in them, so there's some promise for it. We've got 90 minutes to go here, potentially 120. We'll see how it plays out from here. Round 7, action in the Northern New South Wales Australia Cup preliminaries underway. The Western Bears hosting the Edgeworth Eagles. Edgeworth going from the right to left of your screen and arranging ball early, looking for Tyson Jackson. Well dealt with by Burston and seen over the sideline. Nice little tap on there, but again, Burston gets first touch to it and it plays into an Edgeworth player and will have a goal kick. No surprises. We called this Western side on Anzac Day against Adamstown, and straight away you can see one of the busiest and most vocal men on this pitch is Burke Farling, the American import. He was everywhere that day, and I expect plenty of the same today from Weston.
Yeah, the midfield's going to have to step up against a pretty good midfield from Edgeworth. But yeah, he's had quite a good season so far. And
there he is, and fouled right on cue.
Yes. Yeah, as much as we talk about Edgeworth's defence, and that also, you know, this Western team's still got the ability to score goals. It doesn't matter what defence they're up against. So it's going to be an interesting battle, and I'm really interested to see how they deal with Foots, because he seems to be the, you know, one source to goals. A lot of people are sort of saying around town, so it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
I think he's got close to half of their goals so far this season. They've got 28 in the league, and I think he's on 12. So interesting looking at both teams too when you look at some of the names on the benches that could be injected in this game later on as Edgeworth go forward again. Kamara is one that jumps out for Weston, and obviously a player who you know well, Jose Atati, on the bench for Edgeworth. Yeah,
two quality players, and I guess it shows the quality that's in the midfield out there on both teams. They're not in the starting team, so with all the catch-up games, I'd imagine teams are rotating slightly also.
A little bit of a mix-up and a moment there, but Weston able to recover, and Stevens out to snaffle that right at the edge of his 18-yard box. Edgeworth not wasting any time in going forward when they get the opportunity early here. Stevens drives long. Harris does well to use body position and get the header. Farling now.
Yeah, he's a good footballer, Farling, just keeping the ball for him there. That's a lot of nerves out there, and that's what you want your midfielders doing.
Contest there between Nkuru and Brady. Persano working down, but turns it over.
I don't think you can understate also the coaches. They've got a role to play in these cup games. Yeah, you've got to identify what's going on, what's working, what's not working, and resolve things that aren't working on the run quickly, and how you use your subs. It's a big night for coaches on cup night.
Opportunity here. Harris does well to get his body in and prevent an advancing Blake Archbold. And when you talk coaches, two coaches with a fair bit of experience on either side here, certainly not new to this sort of big moment coaching.
Yeah, two very good coaches. I just think it's going to be a great battle, and it's going to be tight. There's not much difference all over the park, and even in the coaches. Yep, lots of experience there and quality.
Just a little update for those who are tuning in and thinking, that looks like a different perspective at Weston to what we might normally see on the live stream. They would be 100% right, Zany, because the grandstands, well, I was going to say it's looking dilapidated, but it's falling apart at the seams. They're actually knocking it down as part of the renovations at the moment. So we're over on the other side, the eastern side here, in a temporary location until they can get essentially a crow's nest or some scaffolding set up for us.
Yeah, I think I've only watched one game here. It was JDL. I watched my son from over here, but it's a bit weird. But it's amazing what the Western Club have, or what they're doing and their plans. I know every club you get a bit jealous, but it's great for football when you see clubs building facilities and working hard to get grants. So it's going to be amazing up here.
Farling there with a late challenge, referee playing advantage, and he will come back. It is amazing when you see, and as you say, whoever's got the newest one, everyone else gets a little bit jealous of them as it happens, right? It's happened at a few clubs already. You've got to look at the likes of Olympic. They got that nice upgrade to Darling Street in recent years, and each team does a little bit better than the last one did as you go forward in time. So
no, it keeps everyone on their toes and striving, which is a good thing, and what we need in football in Newcastle.
Does uplift it, that's for sure. So the referee just sets us up here for the dead ball opportunity. It will be Tyson Jackson to take it. I touched on it in the introduction. A few Kiwis in this Edgeworth side as well. So obviously Foots is one of those. Jackson Brady's another. Austin Jackson, not one of those, but steps over, drives it into the box, headed away by Evans. And working out defence, Farling hustling. Pushed in from Rodwell. Nice little bit of close control. Wowry's happy to take it on against Nankuru.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, Xander, and again, like Farling did for Weston, he just composed himself, kept the ball there. It's going to be important in big games that you have those players that can just calm you down and keep possession and work your way into the game.
Good solid defensive pairing when you look at Wowry's and Harrison as well. And Harrison, one of, I guess, I wouldn't call him a marquee signing, but one of the biggest signings for Edgeworth this year. They brought him up from Tasmania in the NPL, where he actually played in the round of 32 last year for Glenorchy. Yeah,
he stood out in the first game I saw him. I know a bit about Xander. He was at Magic when I was there, and he was actually a midfielder. And we played a back three, and we started playing him up the back. And yeah, you could see he was going to emerge into being a good first grader. He had a really good football brain. And he's just getting better with time.
Weston on a nice ranging attack. It looks like it's going to be a little too wide for even the pace of Blake Archbold.
One thing I'll say, he was always a fantastic distributor, but not having grown up as a centre-back, he's really, I guess, picked up the aggression needed for a centre-back. And yeah, I think he's one of the best going around in the league, to be honest.
It's an attempted lofted ball for Foots there, and he shows the pace that sets him as a very dangerous line-breaking option for them.
And there's the commentator's curse. He has an air swing at it.
It's bound to happen at some point. Get out of the way now.
Yeah. At least it didn't cost him.
And here's Harrison, the other man we're talking about. Drives it wide.
Fantastic ball, and Xander's got the exact same ball, so it opens up the whole field for Edgy. They can knock 50-yard diags each direction, so I'd say that's part of the plan. Get it to Goodman and Pedisano, who are quite good 1v1.
Good work there to take it away from Iwasaki, just getting the body position in front. Not completely dealt with that. They send it long now. Looking for Hatfield, but Harrison takes it. So the one thing that it does afford us being over this side is we are amongst the crowd that's braved the chilly conditions tonight, which is undoubtedly nice for a bit of atmosphere if a Western goal goes in, I think. So Harrison works it forward. Rodwell ends up on the deck. The referee's going to come back again. That one against Hatfield. Certainly nice and willing out here early. Both sides giving as good as they're getting.
Yeah, and just little change from when Weston played at Adamstown that day. It looks like Cooper Buzz was just not quite playing up top. To start, he's a bit more in the midfield, so part of that's probably, get off to a good start. And as he defends, he steps up with
Hatfield.
But yeah, he's dropped back a bit in midfield. I think that'll be just to get him into the game, and he's quite versatile, very good footballer.
Yeah, you can see it as you speak of that sort of shape just changing a little bit with he and Farling once they get possession, as you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think they want to give sort of the overload away to Edgeworth in midfield, and they'll just get their foot in the game, and I'd say both teams just want to, I guess, be mistake-free early in this game.
As Ben Conway waves his troops up. Sorry, not Conway, that's Stevens. Going the wrong way around. Conway at the other end. Ball falls. Almost the advantage. Archbold appeals. Therefore, I'm not actually sure what Archbold was appealing for in the end, but meanwhile, Edgeworth go the other way on attack straight away. Well dealt with by Burston. Here's Archbold now, dispossessed. Fayers sends it across.
Pedisano being harangued by Niankuru. Now Archbold switches flanks and cuts back inside, lays it forward for Hatfield. They get into the box, one-on-one. Pedisano's been sniped, chips it up, and Conway takes it.
Yeah, I know Aaron well, and it's probably not a bad thing he got sniped. He's a bit clumsy inside the box, so I'm sure he'll enjoy listening to that bit of commentary when he watches the game.
Notice when every time Edgeworth get the ball, they're just straight on the accelerator heading forward, just trying to find the, not necessarily direct route through the middle, but just routes forward. They're not sitting back playing it around.
It's just starting to go a bit end to end and a bit more, a few more numbers in attack.
Goodman crossed it into the box, but clips Burston from behind, much to the frustration of a couple of his teammates.
They're set up very similar, really, and even the players like Foots, Hatfield, they like making forward runs, getting the ball in behind. They're a bit playing alone at the moment, but still capable. I saw Foots score against Lambton, just jump on a mistake, and that's all it might take on Cup night.
Yeah, interesting to see if and when that first goal comes and what that does to the momentum for the time being. Farling on the ball. Feeds it across to Evans. He goes wide again. Play it back through the Evans.
Yeah, just watching Buswell now just drift into pockets of space there if they can find him. I was just watching then, the Edgeworth midfield didn't know where he was, and it can be one moment, like I said, in a cup game, that's all it takes.
Those split seconds that turn matches.
Well, if he gets a ball in space, you know Hatfield's running off shoulders, and before you know it, it's all over. So I'll have to just be wary of that. This is what he does. He drifts into the front line, then just drifts into areas where he can either overload or receive the ball between the defensive and midfield line.
Edgeworth trying to press it. It's interesting when you watch that. It almost seems like he's trying to get a little bit of misdirection too, in the hope that just one of the lines assumes the other line picks him up, and then all of a sudden he's in between and away.
Yeah, spot on. He's a very clever player. I remember, I don't know if it would have been 2016-17, he came up here from the Mariners, and I liked him instantly. He scored a goal here. We beat them, but scored a lovely header. Still remember it. And remember that he caught my eye, and I was coaching that day. So, yeah, he's a very clever footballer.
Appeal for a foul there. I think he just ran into the outstretched arm that was blocking his path more so, and the referee obviously agreed and says play on. And we're working it through Tyson Jackson back to Wowries, who drives it long, looking for Foots. Comes back for a contest, taken to the outside, Goodman.
You just saw that. They've been hitting the winger, and all of a sudden the fullback just started sliding out a bit earlier, and that ball went directly for Foots. So fullbacks have just got to be careful for Weston that they don't drift wide too early and open up channels.
Hatfield trying to make a run here for Niankuru. He goes back through the midfield. As well. Archbold feeds it in. Oh, Hatfield was almost on that then. Deflected. Oswald now cleared. Evans up against Powiak. Captain gets it wide. Now driven forward. Stevens comes out to the top of his box. It's interesting you talk about that, you know, the dragging them wide and then trying to create that space in the middle, because that's exactly what we saw that game we called Weston trying to do for Hatfield. And as soon as he gets the indecision between the two defenders and gets into that pocket, and you touched on it, they're very similar in the way they go about their striker, you know, their forward play. Yeah,
very, very clever. I mean, they're running strikers, but they're both clever with their runs and their movement, timing of their movement.
Where he's now. Take on Farling. Farling will hustle after him. Nicely played ball.
Lovely ball.
And drops it back. A bit of a mistake at the back. Farling now steps over the challenge. Lego himself takes a strike, does he? Or was it a pass? I think it might have been a pass intended for Hatfield and didn't quite come off. And Edgeworth will drive it forward towards halfway.
You just saw that mistake, how quick they were to get back and recover. That's why they got such a good defensive record. That reaction was instantaneous, and then they recovered really quick, a dangerous situation.
Early brings it to the right. Iwasaki. Interesting to see just in that last little bit of build-up play, Hatfield dropping back a little bit, and that's something you'll see sometimes from these strikers, as we've got 2 balls on the field and the referee will let them deal with that. Sometimes these strikers, when they start to feel like they're not getting as much ball as they like, they can get sucked back in.
Yeah, and I don't think, probably Hatfield drops a bit more off the line, but look at Foots, you know, just for that moment, Iwasaki was sort of out of position. It was 1v1, and that's what he seems to position himself really well.
Certainly an interesting matchup, as you say. 2 very similarly structured sides with similar strengths. It's just going to be about who can execute and leverage them better. At the moment, you'd have to feel a stalemate so far. As Evans is working around, trying to find space for a pass. Plays it out wide. Early advancing down the left wing with a bit of space. Feeds it inside to Niankuru. Hatfield drop back for Farling. Plays wide. Archbold. Back in for Farling. Can't quite get it. Just a little deflection. And away goes Powiak. He's going to look for Foots. Is he? No. He sends it wide looking for Goodman.
The setup behind the ball wasn't too good there, Weston. There's a big hole in midfield, and it was 3v1, but an early ball there. I reckon Foots had him. So really important Weston keep their discipline behind the ball when they're attacking. If there's time on the ball, one ball, it doesn't matter if it's 3v1, Foots will win the race. So really important they don't leave those type of holes.
It's interesting just looking at it too. You had Niankuru, Farling and Buswell all pushing forward, which obviously is going to leave some sort of vacancy in midfield, so it's going to require some tracking back from a couple of them at least to try and cover that space, isn't it?
Well, they're very attacking minded in there, so yeah, I mean, rather than having 3v1, it could have been one of the fullbacks stepping up and just filling that hole vacated. In the end, they just sat back with 3-on-1, which is great, but one ball and a quick striker can rip that apart, so the numbers become irrelevant.
Iwasaki now driving long forward, looking for the pace of Hatfield, but Conway watchful and takes it into his box. Hatfield appealing, saying he took it outside the box. I think that's what the appeal was for a few minutes ago as well. I will be honest, there's a couple of spots here it is hard to clearly identify the markings. And there's an opportunity here. Foots on an open goal, and he just taps it in. The defence snapping, Stevens out, and Ryan Foots does what Ryan Foots has done all season, and he puts it in the back of the net to lead 1-0. That's what we've been talking about. It only gave him just that half a step, and all of a sudden it meant that Stevens had to come out and make a decision. And
yeah, he looked unsure, didn't he? I think he was in his box, and I think he sort of was took his eye off. Maybe he doesn't like courage, so it wasn't that. I think he was just a bit unsure where he was. And to be fair, I can't really see the line, so I'm not sure how close he was to it. But yeah, there it is. Foots again. I mean, you can say one guy's scoring the goals, but if you keep scoring them, it don't matter, does it?
No, it does not. And that's, look, again, a team that, when you have a look across their season so far, as we said, 10 games in the league, they've conceded 4 goals. 2 games in the Australia Cup, they've conceded 1 goal. So 12 and almost a half games, and they've conceded 5 goals. It's going to be tough to run them down from a lead.
Look, and, you know, having coached a few decent defensive teams, I think the opposition probably aren't thinking of it now, but as it goes along, you know, they know those records, and they know good defensive teams, you know, makes the next goal, you know, 2-0, you're back in Edgeworth home from there. and probably players are losing hope from Weston. So they need to just settle down here and probably get hold of the ball. Just keep themselves in the game.
I have created a couple of half chances, and there's still clearly plenty of time left. Now they just look to work it around, get a little composure. Iwasaki looking for that penetrating long ball. Turned over, and Rodwell works forward. He's got Goodman in plenty of space on the left. The defence compresses. Now they react. He feeds it in, trying to get it into the box, but Iwasaki just clubs it away towards the sideline. And Edgeworth are happy to see it go across.
Yeah, just opening up a bit in midfield, and Edgeworth players looking there. There's a few of them positioned in space, so Weston want to just, you know, consolidate here, and they don't want to find themselves 2-0 down.
No, they certainly don't. Rodwell plays it in.
He's another one, Rodwell, that I caught my eye early in the year, and he's looks a decent footballer also.
Certainly got some good touch as Pettisano goes racing away down the right wing. A little touch around. And we're going to have a foul given against Pettisano.
Yeah, really good defence there. I think it's Dom Archibald over there.
You touch on Rodwell. I think he's another one of that. He's that Kiwi connection. He maybe a few years ago was in Wellington Phoenix's reserves and has moved around a little bit. Went over to the US for a bit of college football as well, and played one of the Div 1 sides over there. So
yep,
certainly been exposed to some good systems, and that probably shows along with his natural talent.
Yeah, no, it was like I think I said in the Adams game, it was one of the lowest games I watched. It was stinking hot, that Lambton and Edgeworth 0-0 draw early in the year. It was played at about 2 o'clock or something. I think it just looked hot. And but the one thing that stood out was their defensive players, and Rodwell was one of them. I'm not sure whether he played up the back that day or 6, but yeah, that's when I first saw Harrison and Cohen and thought, you know what, this is not a pretty solid looking back line.
Iwasaki playing it out in front now of Hurley. Threads it forward looking for Hatfield. It's turned over in a dangerous position. Poked through. Goodman. Pettisano played into the box. Little touch on. The referee's going to say last touch came off the Western defender.
Great ball and really well defended there. I think it was Burson. Ex-Edgeworth player. I think he may have started the cup game against the Jets when we played out at Jack McLaughlin.
One of the pinnacle cup moments in northern New South Wales memory anyway.
Yeah, it's a fantastic night. There's 4,500 in at Jack McLaughlin, which I never thought I'd see.
Crossed in dangerously deep. Then Curry brings it to ground. Foots comes sweeping around the back and tries a fairly acrobatic manoeuvre. It goes forward for Hatfield. Broken up and goes forward. Wowry's now a little more advanced in his usual position. Brady lobs it in, looking for his captain in Pauiak.
Yeah, that was a good run out of midfield by Andy. He wasn't tracked there, just the ball a touch off.
Looks like a little more spark in their step after that goal, Edgeworth, maybe than Weston do, but he can quickly turn. Here's a nicely threaded ball.
Yeah, great ball.
Missed touch, though, and it's broken up. Again, you can just see how quickly, you touched on it before, Damien, how quickly that Edgeworth defence just regroups as soon as there's a turn.
Yeah. One thing, we're talking about the passing range of Wowry's and Harrison. I haven't noticed Chris Hurley knock one diag, which is part of his game, and yeah, that's really interesting. Looks like Edgeworth protecting the space behind their defensive line, so they're sitting a bit deeper.
And Curry pushes it over the top of Conway. Gets a little finger touch on it, says the referee. Ben Conway has a differing opinion, unsurprisingly, and we'll have a corner.
Yeah, that looked like it was going in, to be honest. But
Looked like Nankuru was shaping for a nice cross. He had a couple of players advancing towards the edge of the 18-yard box on the other side. I think that's what had Ben Conway in two minds. And then, as you say, it looked like it was going very close, and Conway had to react late. He still says he didn't touch it, but the referee's decision, as always, is final, and we have a corner.
Yeah, I think it was a cross. It's one of those crosses that you claim was a shot if it tucks in the back post there.
I think Ben Kanarowski called those Jason Hoffman specials when he was on the commentary, so I don't know what the Hoff will think about that, but anyway.
I'm not saying anything. We've got to see him in the office tomorrow morning.
Conway cluttered into, and ball goes over the byline. There's appeals from Edgeworth. Confusion reigns. I'm not sure what the decision is. Burke Farling's going to pick up the ball and head back over to the corner and see what the referee says, I think. I think we will have a corner based on the reactions of all the players at the end of this. Conway definitely ended up on the ground. I'm not sure how it eventuated, but the referee seemed to be happy with it, whether it was some friendly fire.
I reckon someone stood on his foot, and the way my feet feel at the moment, I probably wouldn't want someone standing on them with studs.
Another player down. This time it's Iwasaki. It goes back across for a third corner in a row. A few little tempers flaring. Is that Flynn Goodman and Iwasaki, is it? The referee's going to have a chat to Mana Iwasaki. Temper's certainly much warmer than the atmosphere of the literal sense tonight, because as you said, it is quite fresh. The hands and feet are losing a bit of feeling for many. Farling now lofts this one in, a better strike off the head of Nankuru. Just a glance, but found the feet, I think, a bit more fortuitously than management. Iwasaki tries to feed it in. Archbold tried to run through the referee. I don't know why he didn't just try and go around him. I'm not sure what he was thinking there, Blake Archbold, and how he thought that was going to play out in his favour.
That was amazing for all their defensive prowess. That ball landed on Aaron Nyankuru's head. It just seemed like no one attacked it, or I'm not sure. It was a great chance in the end. Probably should have done better. Probably a bit surprised himself, I'd say, that it got through.
It was amazing too. Even the header, like it wasn't good management or good defence in the end. It just fell and rebounded off a player's feet who happened to be standing there as stunned as everyone else was.
Yeah, it was bizarre, wasn't it? Like, yeah, for a team that's conceded so few a goal, it was actually poor defending.
Maybe if you're Weston, that just gives you that little bit of hope that maybe their defence is human after all, and there's those glimpses that we just need to make sure we capitalise if you're the Bears. But in the meantime, Tyson Jackson ranging down the left, feeds it out to Goodman. Goodman steps inside, plays the ball through, looking Powiak, but it's broken up, not dealt with completely, and Edgeworth continue with possession in the attacking half.
And as much as we talk about, a second goal for Edgeworth, the Western start to think, how are we going to score? At the same time, they score next. They sort of, I guess, Edgeworth's defence loses that invincibility and probably gives Weston the upper hand.
It's a funny thing, momentum in football, isn't it?
Especially cup nights. It can spin on its head real quick.
You start playing the mental games then, and things get into your head about thoughts of the magnitude of it. It's a bit like finals football, but for the meantime, Edgeworth another prime opportunity here after Dom Archibald's fancy footwork didn't quite work out. A corner sets for them. Plenty of tall timber in the box. Drift it deep and back. Foots with a header. Headed forward again. Iwasaki is still in the box, not quite cleared. Hurley's going to watch it across the byline, is he? No. Yes, it does go across the byline. And another corner. It's an absolute corner fest at the moment. Looks like Ryan Foots is out there telling Aaron Nyankuru exactly what he's going to do to him. He's giving him hand signals and gestures about where he's going to run.
Well, it's a funny matchup, isn't it? It's I know they got their players zonal, so that they're relying on them to attack the ball and win it. But yeah, if it ends up a man-on-man contest, I think I'm backing Foots in.
There's not many in that box. He's got height coverage on Foots, but Nyankuru is definitely one, and that's where they go to, looking for him. Deflected off the head. Hurley half clears, but just at the top of the 18-yard box. In tight quarters, driven at Stevens from Rodwell, but Stevens well and truly up to the task.
Look here. look how quick Edgeworth are back in their defensive shape. They got their back four, all midfielders set up, ready to go. I think they're really wary of that quick transition from Weston, which we know they've got. And they're being very disciplined thus far.
That's the big thing, isn't it? It's that discipline, because you only need to sleep once with a team like Weston and vice versa with Edgeworth, as Ryan Foots made us very well aware earlier. You give Chris Hatfield that one opportunity that you don't track back that one time, and the 25 times you did all of a sudden do not matter.
Yeah, and look, defence is built off discipline, and, you know, they use it because they've got such a good defensive record, and just a few little moments I've seen their reactions and how quick they are to set up, and there's a reason. It's not luck they're not conceding goals.
Yes, it's certainly a cohesive unit in defence as Harrison plays it wide and then chip it down the line. Hurley's there to intercept it, but plays it straight into the feet of the Edgeworth captain in power out. He now crosses it in. Foots has been... Oh, no, he's just gone to ground, says the referee. Look from our angle like he got tangled with Iwasaki. The referee right there, though, so he's certainly got to err on his side. Now they play it out wide. Burston goes back into that man in question, Iwasaki, who switches it across to Archbold. Early. Looking for some real acrobatics there from Cooper Buzzell to manage to retain possession, and he can't do it. Long throw for the Eagles. Farling hustling about, putting the pressure on. Edgeworth prodded forward, but the pass broken up. See, a little bit of a midfield exchange both ways. Who can break out of this? Farling's going to be the man to try. He's got Niankuru wide, and that's where he plays. Niankuru, the good tight touch, gets a deflection, sits up nicely for Conway, though, a friendly bounce.
Yeah, that's better. Farling again at the centre of the good things that are happening. Again, good block by the Edgeworth defence. That's a lovely ball.
Well left there. And all of a sudden, Foots now is going to take a shot from range, and Stevens a little fumble. Again, Rodwell just showing his football now as he realised he was tightly marked, and just a little step over and left it for Foots.
Good sign of what Foots means to the team, because having a 35-yard shot, no one said boo to him. So it's a funny game, isn't it, when your striker's scoring goals? He's allowed to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's a much easier conversation when you've got more than a dozen goals in all competitions. You're leading this game and you're sitting second on the table. All of a sudden here, Hatfield takes a strike. Conway with a reaction save.
And when you get past the defence, you've got Ben Conway in goal, so it's a good save, but a good move. That'll give Weston a bit of confidence.
Those not familiar with the Edgeworth club, Conway obviously in AFL terms, a father-son prospect, isn't he? His old man, a premiership winner.
Yep.
And grand final winner, I think, 2003 sort of era.
Won a lot of premierships back then. Lost a lot of grand finals, but yeah, they did win one. Yeah, for years, sort of had tagged the chokers, but there were some fantastic teams out there. You know, as you learn to coach and stuff, you realise it's not choking. It's a one-off game, and sometimes things happen.
Chance here for Hatfield. He's got in behind Woweries. We'll come back to that in a moment. Hatfield now working around, but again the defence converges. He crosses it, looking for Archbold, who switched to the left. There's Archbold back for Archbold. Ball falls here, and away they come again. The defensive unit does its job for Edgeworth. Farling might be best described as an optimistic attempt at the ball. He's trying to sell it to the referee, and again, I'm yet to see what the referees, except maybe in the VAR case, change their decision in these.
Yeah, no, that's a free kick. Just looking at that attack, Hatfield looked really sharp there, but they had about 5 players behind the ball, and Foots was there, and I think they're going to have to be a bit more adventurous at times than that.
Driven long now. Foot's on. Hurley calling for the flag to go up. It stays down. Foot's getting worked over by Iwasaki. Help arrives. But it spits out to Goodman. Fowling comes in now. Fed forward.
Lovely turn.
Nice touch from Hatfield. I was going to say, Edgeworth happy to give away the foul as their defence retreats, and might be classed a little cynical, but it's smart football just giving away a minor foul there.
Did Weston play on the weekend? Have they?
I don't think they did have a catch-up game.
Because I'm just watching their midfield. They look like they're, put it this way, Edgeworth look...
Well, Weston would have. They would have had their Australia Cup game where they beat Lantern down at Arthreddon, sorry.
Yeah.
So they did have a game where Edgeworth didn't. Edgeworth had the forfeit.
Oh, gee.
Foots here. Plays it wide. Pedisano making a ranging run. Can he cross it in? He does cross it in. Foots read it well.
Great challenge.
Iwasaki. That's a battle with a bit of heat in it, those two at the moment.
That opened up too easy. And look, yeah, you forget that Edgeworth had the weekend off. That's correct. So I can only imagine Arthur Eden would have been still fairly heavy.
And plays it into the box. Foots on a tight angle. Beautifully stopped by the outstretched right boot of Stevens. Well, no, the referee's going to say it was already over the byline when he got his boot to it. It's certainly an interesting thing when you talk about, the continuity and who's played on the weekend. I mean, it can go both ways, just the continuity of football, but not a lot of football played in general over the last month and a bit for a lot of these sides. I think both Edgeworth and Weston, 1 or 2 games since that Anzac Day weekend in league football. So,
and look, you're relying on the individuals too, and how they take care of themselves away from training. At this level, you can't always get on a pitch, and you're right, it's hard. So a lot of it does come down to also your own players and what they're doing away from training.
Physical challenge there. Hurley appeals for a foul, but gets the throw in instead.
But it's been a bit noticeable for me. I think Edgeworth look physically stronger at the moment. So I'd say Weston will just want to get to half time here, and there's an error there that, again, fatigue leads to errors.
Goodman now does well, just cuts back inside after selling the feint. Stevens out to it and takes it easily. He's just going to work it around and decide on the best option. He decides to Iwasaki in close. He's happy to play it back and forward to Iwasaki, and Stevens trying to get a reaction, trying to draw out a Eagles defender. They're not biting. Pedisano now going across field, plays it back. Wowries. He's got Jackson wide here on the left, and he shapes that way, but goes down through the centre. Goodman gets
great
forward, and Farling again is there. He's ever present. Missed touch by Burston. Let's go back to Stevens, who decides it's time to get out of dodge and sends it over halfway. Wowries gets a touch. He goes back to Buswell, who gives away a foul. And you feel like we haven't really, he's a name we haven't really said for quite a run of time now, Cooper Buswell.
No, they haven't been able to find him. And it's funny, they just sort of suffocate you, Edgeworth, and here's a chance maybe.
Farling, a little tug on the jersey. Well, the referee, and then he gets clipped. Interesting to see who he's going to call out here. Calls out Andy Powick. I think Aaron Pedisano is going to have to be a little careful. That's the second or third time where he's come in with a unnecessary foul, and referees have a good memory for those sorts of things when there's one that's just a little bit more significant.
Well, yeah, he's lucky to get away with it there. And that's another thing for the coaches, yeah. When players have a card, it becomes dangerous because it's a one-off game. And do you take the risk of keeping them out there? And, yeah, it's a lot going on for the coaches.
The other thing is, too, there's, you know, in these bigger games, there's always, you know, a little bit more pressure on the referees, too. And we saw that in the Charity Cup final, or the Charity Cup game earlier this year, where all of a sudden the game was turned on its head. There's all of a sudden a few tempers fray here, and Chris Hurley getting a little heated as he comes up. But, yeah, we saw, you know, that game turn on its head with a couple of cards, didn't it? So,
yeah, you got it. I can remember one cup game at Magic. It was against Edgeworth, and I actually made a sub in, might have been extra time or towards the end of the game because I was concerned about a player on a card. And I actually felt we were going to win the game. So the only thing that was going to stop us was a red card. So, but you can get that wrong, right? You change something, and if it goes wrong, and you know, it's on you. So it's really important. I think finals and cup games like this, the coach does have an actual big part to play as well. And it's important for the players. He gets things right.
It's all those sudden death moments, isn't it? And, you know, as we see at the top tier, the coach is the one that, if they win, the players have done well. And the coach, if they lose, well, he's made the incorrect decisions and changes, right? So,
yeah. Well, not all the time.
He'd be a coach, ain't he?
Not all the time. Ange won a cup and he hasn't got a job this week. So it's not always the case.
I think Ange will be okay. I think he'll find another one pretty quickly, don't worry. But, yeah, it's an interesting one.
Well, I think it's the wrong decision, but not because he's Australian, but...
Yeah, I think the player reaction probably gives you a good tip about how ingrained he was there, and that they probably were heading in the right direction. But that's a whole new thing and a whole other story for another day. As all of a sudden this opens up, Hatfield in on the edge of the 18-yard box, feeds it back. I'm not quite sure who he's looking to tuck that back for. Would have been a long way back to find Blake Archbold, who was the only real runner coming through the centre.
Yeah, I think... I don't know if you didn't see Aaron, but a ball across the face there might have been the ball, and hope that Aaron got across his man, or that, you know, the Edgeworth defender put it in his own net. But they got a corner nonetheless, and right before half-time would be a great time to score.
Corner probably a fortunate result. I think the Edgeworth defence panicked a little. They didn't realise the numbers and what they had there, but nonetheless, well, as you say, if they get one back here, it won't matter how it let up. Farling drifts it in. Hurley's there. Still not dealt with. Falls deep. Not dealt with again. Powick now clears it long.
There's a decent chance again.
Was it again? In that clustered confines of the 6-yard box. Edgeworth not looking as composed with their defence.
And again there.
Osaki. Little touch. Gets another. Cuts it back, but picks out an Edgeworth defender. Edgeworth pushing forward now. Weston have done well to reset their back four. The midfield still making their way back. Good sliding effort from Evans. Farling tries to get a boot in, but it finds a target for Edgeworth. Now they swing it across. Jackson Brady down the right. He crosses it in. Broken up by Burston. Farling in a little bit of space. Nice touch there. Little 1-2. He works forward. Gets it out wide now. Hatfield sitting out on the left. Archbold racing down. More numbers coming.
Yeah, 9 behind the ball very quickly.
Edgeworth do very well to react, and Evans now looks up with not too many options presenting. They go wide. Burston's up there.
Starting to get guys like Archbold and Co on the ball, which is a good sign.
Evans bisects two of his own players, and it's picked off. Hurley comes forward. What will he do? Thought he's going to wind up for a shot from 40. I don't know. That would have been a wise option, but I wouldn't have put it past him. Now they just track back calmly. Edgeworth, and they'll drive that over the sideline. Good position to start this passage for them. Nice 1-2 Nankuru. Nice ball back from him. He couldn't control the next touch, though. A little too heavy.
Yeah, just needed that pass on the ground. It was a good idea by Buswell.
Weston now decides to switch the point of attack. Dom Archbold goes wide. Also the overload 1-2, but they cut back through the middle. Find Nate Archibald in the middle there. Now Edgeworth driving down, looking for Foots.
There's a danger just there. He was one-on-one again, just switching off behind the ball.
It certainly was. It shows what can happen as soon as they push too many numbers forward. But look, it's been tight, it's been tense, but Edgeworth's class has probably just showed through a little, and their cup experience has certainly helped them control the tempo. They do lead 1-0, but they know Weston aren't going away. And we know the Bears here at Rockwell Automation Park will throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at them after the break. So we will rejoin you in about 10 minutes with the second half here. Round 7, Northern New South Wales preliminary Australia Cup action. Chris McPherson and Damien Zane bring you all the action. At the break, it is the Edgeworth Eagles 1, Western Bears 0.
Northern New South Wales YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, search for Northern New South Wales football. This one and the Broadmeadow football games are going to be live on there at the moment. Cooks Hill. Should have said that in Australia. Should have said it. Bailey back from Stanford. Yeah. He's away, I think, on the weekend. Yeah, on the week Sundays or something. From the weekend. When their defence got past them in that box, all of a sudden it was kind of like someone else will do the job. I can't believe how, considering how many people there that the crews had all the time to do it. Yeah, when he watches that back, he's going to be real impressed. Hasn't he? All the peak. You probably be happy with that stuff. More long range and short range. Yeah. That was a good point though that you had about 12 goals a season, no one's...
That's in a different mindset.
This was kind of when he was like in his swing, right? And so, you know, because it sort of did a bit differently. And Stephen was hard to play. He was 6 yards. I played golf at Hunter Valley near the Ridges on Monday. It was 6 degrees when we got there, but there was a 7.5 degree wind chill. But I played the best golf I've ever played. It was still horrible, but it was the best I've played. short night's sleep and just walk on and leave the next 2 days. So he didn't grab himself that early to just caught up on the highlights afterwards. It's a big disappointment. That all fits fine, isn't it? Yeah, it's like this Club World Cup or something. I didn't really see it. I don't have like stuff on them. Four-ish. They're young. Log on at 8 so it's early start. Good excuse not to, you know. Happy to skip easy one for now.
Welcome back to Rockwell Automation Park for the second half of Australia Cup action. The Northern New South Wales Round 7 preliminaries. Winner takes all and goes through to the round of 32 as one of 2 Northern New South Wales representatives. And at the break, it is 1-0 in favour of the visitors. Ryan Foots scoring in the first half for Edgeworth. If you are tuning into this and looking for an update on the other game as well, surprisingly, Damien Zane, Cooks Hill getting an early lead and lead 1-0 against Magic at Magic Park at half-time.
Yep, I'll have a very happy assistant coach in the morning if that's a result stays. Zora'd be pretty happy with that first half at Magic. I imagine the supporters there's a bit of unrest amongst them. So, again, next goal in both games is going to be really important, isn't it?
Certainly is. We'll try and keep you up to date with that one a little bit. Referee feeling the cold a bit like all of us. I don't think he wanted to come out of the change rooms, and I don't blame him. Not as cold as it could have been, but it's certainly fresh enough, and we're back underway here. Farling straight away, as he did in the first half, looking busy on the ball. And work it around at the back now, Weston. Driving it forward. Pedisano shapes the pass, thinks better of it. He tries to put on the afterburners. The space closes down. He tucks it inside. Little attempted 1-2. Farling's going to take it on himself. He's got Niankuru forward. He goes across the midfield to Buswell. And work it around. Evans. Tom Archibald feeds it forward. That's more promising from Weston. All of a sudden they're into the box and defence swarms and closes it off. Harrison shuts down the advance attack of Cooper Buswell.
Nice forward run, but by Cooper. Looks like he's that's as close as he got to Hatfield, I'd say, in the whole game so far. So that's a good sign. Hatfield just pulled off the shoulder. A nice little forward run there by Cooper. Good start by Weston. They can just feel they've got a bit of intent here.
Whatever was said it by Q Jalians at half-time appears to have sparked something, and a little bit of extra spark and spring in their step, and Dom Archibald earns a foul there, and the free kick will be 35 from goal, and it'll be Farling to take it.
Yeah, I said just before half-time they looked a bit tired, but they had that little spurt before half-time, which would have been good for them, and they've come out re-energised here, and Edgeworth want to wake up here. They don't want to give this lead up.
Farling comes in, hits it, headed on off almost the back of the head from Hatfield, and a fumble there, but he does want to recover Conway.
Look like loose players again. It's It's funny, you normally, like with a really good defensive team, they're assured on corners and free kicks, but Edgeworth's looked a little bit...
Opportunity, half chance here, pushed forward.
Yeah, they've looked a little bit vulnerable on in those moments, so might be an avenue there for Weston.
Yeah, we talked about it at half-time, didn't we? It very much looks like when they get more congested, it's just like the decision-making changes for them. As this one's threaded into the box, but Conway will easily deal with it.
Yeah, they're sort of looking at the next person to clear it or defend it, and then ends up, with the Aaron Niankura header. No one went for it. It ended up, I think it even surprised Aaron.
I just wonder if that's almost an over-faith in the ability of the man next to you because of how strong they are defensively, maybe, because it's not an ineptitude, it's not a lack of ability in this team.
Yeah, look, everyone's got to have a weakness. We're human. There's always going to be mistakes.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, that is exactly right. We can't all be perfect at everything, because if even a team was, it wouldn't be much fun having a competition. As this is driven wide, Pedisano's going to keep it in. Tom Archibald just prods his foot at it and sends it towards the midfield, and Powiak drops it back for Wowries, who sends a slicing ball that finds its way through good fortune.
Yeah, if Archibald had just held there, it was going straight to him for a nice little transition moment there.
Through it now, going the way of Weston. Pedisano couldn't chase that one down. Blake Archibald trying to create an option for his brother Dom, and then Dom just picks out Jackson Brady. Burke Farling, the smallest bloke on the field, leaps over an opponent to take that away with a header. Now Flynn Goodman tries to conjure something, doesn't amount to much. Sits back for them. They try to look at transition now. They go forward. A couple of reasonable touches. Foots tries to bring it to his own possession. And eventually it's seen away over the sideline by Weston. Jackson Brady taking a quick throw. They're happy to do things up tempo, Edgeworth. Brady cuts through towards centre field. Farling gets to the outside. He takes a nice ball out in front of Archibald.
Lovely way to pass.
Pedisano thinks about grabbing hold of him, decides better of it. Puts it in.
Oh,
just
great
an air
ball.
swing. It was a good ball. Hatfield couldn't get a touch on it though, but it's not completely done. Niankura almost managed to nab it. And just starting to find some little glints of hope, Weston.
Yeah, it started with Buswell keeping the ball, and then lovely pass by Farling. Good forward run by Archibald, and unlucky not to get the equaliser there.
Stevens well forward, plays it out in front of Hurley. Hurley calls Archibald not to come to him. Farling.
Looks more like Weston there. Hurley injecting himself. It's a good start by them.
Misdirected pass, but Hatfield picks it up. Niankura can't quite control it, and Harrison does well to clear it away towards the sideline. And it'll be just shepherded across the sideline by Dylan Burston for a throw. Across to the edge of the box here.
Great touch.
Buswell working it around. It's poked away though. Evans pushing forward.
And that structure there behind the ball is really good. The rest defence, they win it straight back, and now there's pressure building.
Farling turns a Pedisano inside out, but he recovers, finds Niankura in the box, gets a shot away, deflected, it's in the net. Well, there it is. You talked about it at half-time, Niankura not likely to score with his header, but a rocket right footer gets past Ben Conway, and we're back on level pegging. 1-1, and this start of the second half pays reward for the Western Bears.
And I sort of mentioned earlier about Buswell being closer to Hatfield than he had the whole half. It looks like, Aaron then was closer to Hatfield, and maybe they're looking to, the focus is on Hatfield. Maybe they're aiming to use the space that's created by that around him. got a bit lucky, but you make your own luck.
Well, certainly, they've started this like a very different side to the one that we saw for the majority of the first half. And here they go again. Weston putting the pressure on. Pedisano, an Archibald. He gets away from one Archibald, gets clobbered by the second.
I've got to say, I enjoyed that a bit. He's a great guy, Aaron. I still talk to him, but he's shaking his head.
And give as good as he gets, that's one thing we know. He's right there pushing away, and he got the foul. Farling pushing back there. Goodman trying to apply the pressure. Farling, just such good close control. As soon as I say that, he loses possession. We're good for that.
Yeah, he overdid it a bit there at the end, but
I was going to say, this looks like a perfect opportunity for a Hurley ball, doesn't it? Plays it forward for Hatfield. Good defence. Wowry just comes across and gets it away from Hatfield because that was dangerous.
Well, when Hurley's getting on the ball like this, you know Weston's starting to go, and Edgeworth need to, get a grip here. And
Burke Farling appealing for something there. I'm not quite sure what, but the referee he's happy to let a little bit go, and he stepped in at the appropriate times when things have gone a little bit over the line. As Iwasaki, a nice little pirouette, lays it back off.
Yeah, I think consistency is the key, and he's been pretty consistent. He hasn't looked like he's wanted to get cards out of his pocket, which is a good thing on a cup night. Again, you want to see a good football game.
Trying to work it out of defence and looking a little rushed, a little pressured all of a sudden, Edgeworth. It's amazing what a goal can do. Weston full of spring, full of verve. Trying to work it forward.
I think the key early on here is mentioning all these midfielders is Buswell then keeping the ball and then making forward runs on top of that. They're in total control at the moment.
I was going to say, it looks like they found another gear. It looks like they found another 2 gears, Weston, in the start of this second half. Archibald just dancing around. Right idea. Execution not quite there, but it hasn't been cleared. Evans pushing forward. He's going to take a long-range strike. Oh. Conway parries it down. And Cooper Buswell was there. He's lucky he recovered as quickly as he did, Ben Conway.
Oh, great challenge.
Played forward now. Hatfield, he's going to take a strike into legs. What? He might have been grabbed and dragged there. The referee letting a little go. Farling again with a nice leap. Archibald prods it the way of Niankuru. Hatfield now looking for options, and he's going to have to go backwards.
But look at all the attackers there that Weston, they're right around Hatfield now. They're very narrow, the three, and that shot there by Connor Evans come from their rest defence and structure behind the ball, which is one thing that I'm guessing Q's resolve, because when they're attacking, it's really important what's happening behind the ball for your team, and the better organised Yoke can maintain the pressure, and pressure leads to goals, as we know.
It certainly does, and they're applying plenty at the moment. Some of it a little bit overzealous, as we saw there from Dom Archibald. Yeah. There's no love lost between him and Aaron Pedisano, that's for sure.
At the other end, there's the danger. Just one long ball and Fuchs is in behind.
Yeah, the referee, he was going to let it go initially, but Iwasaki tumbled to the ground, rolling about, holding his head, and he's obviously seen something a little bit later. Actually. And he's having a chat with Ryan Fuchs. Ryan Fuchs is trying to argue, and this is a court of law you're not going to win in, right?
And that's good to see again. He's been consistent. The ref, he's not looking to give cards out, which is a good sign. It's, look, by the letter of the law, you've got to really keep your hands to yourself, but there was nothing really in it. And he's doing a good job, the referee.
Certainly is. Undoubtedly understands the magnitude of the occasion and the attitude and efforts that are applying from the players. And as you said, in a lot of these cases, I mean, you could find fouls in almost anything, but the players, if they're both holding each other, there's not much point giving a foul either way. Oh, yeah. Chris Elliott would like to have that one again.
there wasn't a lot of malice in anything that's happened. Both teams want to win. A lot on the line, and the refs dealing with it really well, I think.
Certainly is. The Pedisano gets ahead to it, and Hurley. Deflected forward. Farling throws himself in. He might be the smallest bloke out there, but he's got absolutely no fear throwing himself into contest, Burke Farling. Now the ball forward. Iwasaki does well just to block the run, and yeah, that's a clumsy, unintentional foul, but a foul nonetheless.
Hey, if you look here, like you've got Farling and Cooper really stepping onto Chris Fayers and Brady, and I think that's allowing him to be. I thought they defended deeper. Now, when they win the ball, they're actually higher and closer to Hatfield. And then you got Archibald and Nyankuru ready to join the attack, and all of a sudden they're looking quite dangerous. I wonder whether they, because they did play, maybe they managed the first half a bit. I'm not sure, but they've come out a whole different team. They're pressing higher, and they look really energetic, and they're thriving off the pressure they're building.
I feel like it's taken Edgeworth a few minutes to sort of get into the contest in the second half. They are now, but unfortunately for them, there was a goal that got shipped in that time.
Yeah, and it could be another one.
Archibald's going to take a shot right at the near post, just touched and parried away by a diving Conway. He had a reasonably quiet first half, and he's been in the thick of things early in the second, Ben Conway.
And look, I brought up about coaching. You know, how long does Pete let this go? I don't know, you know, what's going on with the squad, but I'd imagine I'd be looking to possibly a Jose Atadi. I think they've lost control of the midfield completely, and they need to arrest that. You can back your players, or there might come a point where you've got to jump in and change it yourself.
Interesting to see how much leeway he gives them. Farling here from the corner. How will they defend this? Near post, headed forward by the defence. Falls for Archibald. He has an air swing. Would have been interesting if he connected there, and all of a sudden they're advancing forward here, Edgeworth. Chris Hurley didn't mean to get that the way he did, but he got it nonetheless. Everyone's slipping and sliding. It's like an ice skating rink out there. Bodies flying in motion. Evans goes forward, takes one along the carpet, and we've got a prone body after all of that. I don't think there was anything in that. A lot of collisions as bodies were just coming in, and a bit of juice starting to fall down. You can see people struggling to keep their feet.
Players struggling to keep their feet, but Weston's coming out with the ball every time, and that's the key to it. Yeah, it's you know, you got your players, and you want to stick by them. And the games, you know, you're never going to dominate 90 minutes, but that is a tough one in the cup game when you see the momentum changing. If you wait too long, you might be down 2-1, or you know, making a change, you might jump the gun a bit. So it's really important, coaches' decisions tonight, and you don't really know until after the game whether you've got it right or wrong.
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, most supporters have it, and coaches cop it.
That one's a foul called to the favour of Aaron Nyankuru, and Weston will come away. Still 1-0 at Magic Park after 62 minutes.
Yeah, after scoring after 10, that's a good sign for Cooks Hill that they're running from in front. A goal can change there, but Magic faithful will get behind them if they score, and again, comes down to momentum.
It's certainly going to be an interesting last half an hour or so there, as it will be here, and all of a sudden Edgeworth ranging forward. First real time this half, they've managed to do so, and just a little bump there.
Yeah, lovely run by Powiak and lovely ball in behind.
What a surprise, though. It was Burke Farling back there hustling in the last line of defence. He is just a ball of energy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been everywhere. I thought he was good that day against Adamstown, but he's doing it against a big team here in a big game. So that's a good sign for Weston. They've got a good one there.
Certainly have. It's always key if you can pick up some good imports. Can be the difference between a successful season and a not so successful one, and Farling's been a great slot in here. Evans heads it back.
I think Connor Evans has come into the game a lot more also.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of involvement, and He hasn't played the full season so far for them. Coming in the last few weeks in the league. He's only got 4 league games under his belt so far. And here he is on the ball now. Plays it across to Hurley. Archibald to Archibald. To Archibald again. Lobs it into the box. Looking for Buswell.
Again, structure behind the ball good. They get it back. Edgeworth camped inside their own half.
Threaded forward, looking for Buswell, just a little over hit. But as you said, those pieces where you start seeing Chris Hurley on the ball and him starting to use those ranging, penetrating passes, that's when you know Weston are in their rhythm and their groove.
Yep. There's Farling again, nearly pinching a ball.
Persano, little touch infield. Up against Archibald. Brady. Strong contact. Brady keeps a little 1-2 down the line. Archibald does well just to trap the ball, but can't take it away from Brady. Feeds it in. Pedisano's going to need to be quick to reel this in, and he does. Just inside the byline, right in the corner. Plays it into the back of Evans, and will take the corner.
Really important Weston concentrate in these moments, and they're on top here. The last thing they want to do is give away a goal from a set piece.
Brady at the corner. Lofts it in, it's deep. Going to need a big header from there, looping, and it loops over the crossbar in the end. Doesn't threaten too much. Stevens was watchful.
Yeah, I understand the zone and all that. I'm just very concerned every time I see Foots up against Niankuru. I get it, the zone players are going to attack it, but he's winning it every time.
He doesn't need much of an advantage or much of a sniff, does he? So.
And look, it might not be him scoring. It might be just a header back in and someone else gets on the end. But you want to get first contact there from Weston. I'm probably putting a slightly taller player, maybe an Archibald who's not in the zone on him. Yeah, I just think it's a bit dangerous.
Pedisano gets a touch on this, takes it away from Archibald. Working to the outside. Looking for options presenting. He's got a runner infield. Powiak, beautiful ball. Hurley throws himself into Powiak and deflects his run. Evans trying to challenge from behind. That's a risky endeavour in the attacking third, but does get his boot in and just pokes it across the sideline. Some nice lead-up play there from Edgeworth, showing some promise. They've been a little bit quiet in terms of the attacking third so far this half. And they come back. Powiak goes all the way back to Harrison. Hatfield pushing up. They go back to Conway. Conway drives it deep and right. Pedisano chests it down. Brady sees some vacant space and takes the lane on. Hurley, nice one-on-one tackle. Takes it away from him cleanly.
There's Farling and Buswell. Just keep the ball. The Edgeworth defenders were swarming, but great composure.
Hatfield calls for it and they deliver. His touch a little heavy, but he recovers. Wins out one-on-one and has advantage. They play forward. Buswell trying to poke it into the box. Appealing for handball. Niankuru pushes it outside to the right. He got some nice curl on it, but not enough to bring it back.
Yeah, they're looking dangerous, aren't they? You're starting to see Buswell, Farling on the ball, releasing Niankuru and Hatfield.
See nervy, little bits of indecision in the Edgeworth defence too, just creating doubt in their mind because there's just players nipping around on angles, good touches, good passes, and as you said, starts to feel then that the ball's bouncing every time in their favour, and sometimes it does go that way, but as you said before, you create your own luck.
Yeah, and look, slippery underfoot, guys like Niankuru around the box are very dangerous, so, you know, I think Edgeworth's midfield have almost disappeared. They're getting outplayed at the moment, outcompeted. I'd say it must be getting close to thinking about trying to get the game back on an even keel before they're behind.
Fed through looking for Hatfield. Moyaris gets it. Interestingly, we've seen very little movement from the Edgeworth bench as of yet. Their players
I don't know who's who. Everyone's black over there. I can't tell.
Everyone's just got the big jackets on. But that's the interesting thing. I mean, the socks is the giveaway. It's the red socks over there, see? So that's the only way I could tell the difference.
I'm just wondering about my own socks. They don't seem to be working.
I think we needed maybe 3 or 4 pairs tonight, or those little crusher heat packs.
There's a structure again. Pick up ball, and Edgeworth camped in here.
Yeah, Hurley.
Doing a lot of damage on this left, the Archibald brothers, Hurley.
Here is Dom Archibald. Gets it back to Blake. Laid off to Hurley.
Just got to be careful, this structure behind the ball.
Trying to feed it in, all of a sudden Farling crossing it into the box dangerously. Then Kura, a little tap on, a little clip, and that's a penalty. And again, that's what the danger of the darting lines can mean. Is it a penalty, or is it just outside the box? Someone pointed at the spot there. I think
I cannot see a line there.
Yeah, it's been hard for the keepers to see, so we're absolutely... I'm basing it off the fact the referee's still standing outside the box. I think that's the best we can do. But it's going to be a dangerous free kick nonetheless with some of the players they've got that they can use at the dead ball here, Weston. And again, just that little bit of indecision. The back leg flicked out by Chris Fayers, and all of a sudden play goes down on the edge of the box and decision goes in favour of Weston.
Yeah, one thing I was about to say there, where Hurley creeps forward on the ball, and for a minute there is one-on-one, but Connor Evans identified that and was straight back in, and that's the difference for mine. The second half is behind the ball while they're attacking their rest defence, and has been great, and they win the ball, build pressure, and could take the lead here. He's done everything else, Farling, so you wouldn't be surprised if he puts it in from here.
We've got 2 options. That Farling's going to wave Niankuru off, is he? Farling to take it. Left arm aloft and has a crack himself. Parried away.
It's a good save.
He's a good save. He would have only got a late look at that, Ben Conway. Now they try to go on the counter.
We talked about Edgeworth's pressure around the ball when they lost it. That was good pressure there. Didn't allow the early ball to Foots.
Pedisano trying to do it all himself. Dispossessed, but falls to a friendly at the back. Now, Brady sends it out. Trying to curl it in. Dangerous shot from range. Foots at the back post as well. Stevens shadowed it, but I don't think he was completely confident and calm with it. Magic have equalised at Magic Park. 71.5 minutes gone. 1-1 there, 1-1 here. Both games on the line. All to play for in the final 18 and a bit minutes at each field.
Yeah, that's not a good sign for Cooks Hill, I'd say. At home, Magic. Got the crowd going, I'd say, now.
It looks like a reasonable crowd looking at the angle of footage. So they really get in there, and they can be a little almost hostile, the Magic fans, to the visitors. Weston here. Can we see 2 home sides come from behind? Can we see the Bears qualify for the round of 32 for the first time? Wonderful ball out wide now for Archibald with some space. We look to cross it back in. Drops it back. Buswell deep, puts it into the box. It was half a shot, half a cross, and it was no worries for Ben Conway.
I didn't mind the ball. Everyone was sort of running to back post if that had one coming near.
Foots now. Hurley hustling and grinding against him and just gets a boot to it and sends it away, and now we'll have a corner at the other end.
As soon as the ball side centre-back steps out of the line or drifts out of the line I'm not sure whether he stepped in there, Iwasaki, or just ball watched and drifted in. But as soon as that happens, Foots is in behind. He's you can't give him an inch, and you really do have to concentrate the full 90 against him.
That's the thing we saw it in the first half. He's not going to need lots of chances. He's only going to need one half sniff, and he'll make you pay, and he's done that all season.
Well, here's that match-up again that I'm concerned about. But
go to the front post, little back heel, somewhat headed to the edge of the 18-yard box. Doesn't quite get dealt with, and they play it back. Powick takes a shot. Rising Stevens with a tap. I think he lost that. At first, it was curling, and it sliced late and left, and he just got that left hand up to it and parried it over the crossbar. A wonderful save, George Stevens.
Yep. Great find this year for him, and sort of a missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle up here. He seems to have fitted in really well. Had a great season, come from nowhere, so it's a good save there. Keep him in it.
Seen him in a couple of games this year, just some wonderful last-minute reactionary saves like that. Very good reflexes. This one driven towards the back post. Stevens gets a hand to it, not completely cleared, but it is out to the edge of the 18-yard box. They drop it back to the defensive side to Edgeworth. Now they cross into the box and headed away by Buswell. Rodwell can't take it away, and who's there again? Burke Farling.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
I'd love to say I'm surprised.
And he kept the ball on top of it. There he is again.
Just the agility and ball control that he and the Nkuru have. It must just create nightmares for defensive midfielders and defenders as they push forward.
That was a lovely pass there too. I think it was it Weston? Lovely ball there. Just released him out of pressure.
Archibald, Hatfield drops it back, looking for Buswell. He gets a friendly deflection, and then he almost sends it to Cessna.
Well, it looks like there's some subs coming. Joe Melmoth looks like one.
Melmoth, and I can't even make out that fourth official board. He put it up so quick that... So it'll be Fayers and Powiak to make way. Unsurprisingly, after Powiak was clattered earlier and was still not quite at 100%.
Is that Nick Curran?
Looks like it is, yeah. Nick Curran in the 20. Melmoth in the 8 coming on. 6 and 7 Fayers and Powiak make way.
The other thing, I'm not sure where Jose Ataidi's at. I'm not sure if he's back from injury or whatever. But the other thing you have to think of is, if he is, you know, not coming on with 20 to go. There could be 50 to go. So there's so much to think about for coaches in these cup games. And
now a foul. He's wasted no time in getting himself involved in the fray as Melmoth. Referee's having a little word with Burke Farling, maybe just suggesting keeping his cool might be the best option here, because exactly to your point, you know, it's not just 10 to 12 minutes that you're missing if you get a red card here.
Yeah.
And a reactionary one would be the worst of all time. You've got the foul and then you turn things around by finding some umbrage with something. So Farling now over the dead ball and lofts this in. Nice ball.
Oh.
Just outside the outstretched boot. Was that Hurley advancing forward, and Conway got the friendly bounce and drives it down, unsurprisingly looking for Foots on the quick turn.
Great header there.
Dylan Burston.
That's got to be a goal. It's such a good ball. It really just needed someone making a run with intent there, and that's a massive chance.
You have to feel like it can't have been far away from the boot of Hurley when he was advancing.
No. From a set piece again, it's we might be seeing a few chinks in the armour.
Might be some other coaches taking note.
Yeah, shouldn't say anything.
Here's Curran. First real involvement. Lays it out. Brady. Pedisano now. The pressure mounts for both these sides. I want to get it done in 90.
Even then, Farling working to cover his fullback and offer him defensive
Hatfield
support.
on a run here. Conway's going to have to come out of his box. He's going to try and retreat. Does well just a little inside.
I'm sure he looks like he's further than where that free kick was from, and he's in the box, so I don't know.
I'm not sure what's going on there out there with the 18-yard boxes, whether they haven't been repainted since the weekend
or our eyesight's going.
Yeah, we're not getting any younger, are we? So some interesting attempts at acrobatics there from Tyler Harrison. The referee might have pulled it up a little bit more for a chat, but they move on, Weston. They want to keep going here. They want to find that second. They had the better of it in the second half. Hatfield does well, draws two,
Great
sets
touch.
Archibald free with a beautiful touch. Crossed into the box. Niankuru with a header. That's two in a game.
Yeah.
He's finding some new tricks, and all of a sudden...
Well, that one he actually put head to ball. The other one, I think, was ball to head. But that was a great touch out there. It was a great ball by Hatfield, but it was a difficult one. Dom Archibald's touch was great and a fantastic ball, and just needed a loop-in header there.
Looking very dangerous, Weston. Can Edgeworth grab something against the run of play? Pedisano gets a little nudge. Archibald just really starting to press the buttons of Aaron Pedisano.
There's Farling again. He's having one hell of a game.
Playing advantage of that challenge from Pedisano on Farling, and you have to feel that that was almost reactionary to the Archibald challenge just before.
Structure behind the ball, good again. Heavy touch, but might let him in. But
Chris Evans' clearance doesn't quite go. Sorry, Connor Evans' clearance doesn't quite go where he wanted it there.
just bought him a bit of time, but they're back behind the ball.
So just watching Ryan Foots, he tries to get another challenge on Farling. He just, that change of direction that he gets through, and we're going to come back here, I think. And Aaron Pedisano is going to find himself in the book, and that's what I talked about earlier. Is he got the eye of the referee a couple of times with some minor challenges. He goes a little bit more over with that one. The foot was up, and the referee comes back for a card well after it occurred.
Yep. He's disappointed me with a card for dissent. Yeah, gee, it's been one-way traffic this second half, hasn't it? You know, if Edgeworth were to win it from here, you'd say they've stolen it.
Yeah, it's certainly been a black and white clinic in the second half. Chris Hatfield tries to ride the back of Tyler Harrison, although he's trying to mount him like a Melbourne Cup ride. Just over 8 minutes remaining at Magic Park, still tied up at 1-1.
It's quite funny, I guess. The fact I thought Weston looked fatigued before half-time, and they come out re-energised, and I don't think they're going to make a sub, to be honest. I'm looking at their players. They all look fine, and I wonder if it, you know, having played on the weekend, maybe just a little bit of fatigue, but they've got stronger as it's and sort of run through it. But they look really strong, and can't imagine, just looking at their players, you don't really want to take anyone off. You think about fresh legs, but yeah, they're looking really strong at the moment.
They certainly are. As you say, it looks like it's almost a different 11 players out there just in terms of the energy, and it's been that way since the moment the whistle got us back underway for this second half here, and as we head inside the final 10 minutes, you certainly feel they've got the upper hand, but football is a funny game. Doesn't take much. And again, if we remain this way, of course, because it is a knockout fixture, we will go 15 minutes each way of extra time. Still level after 120 minutes.
Lovely combination.
Great
run.
Spot. I was going to say, that'll be a card. He's been clipped from behind, has he?
Lovely combination through midfield, and the run by Archibald. He got the wrong side of Brody, and it's probably a good foul in the end because he was gone there. they're just completely on top here. It's been such a turnaround from what they sort of delivered in the first half. This is more like them, to be fair.
It's been that epitome of the game of two halves thus far. Burke Farling. Little feints there. Archibald crossed it in the box, looking for Niankuru's head.
Again, every ball that's come out, I think the second half, Weston have won back.
Weston bumped to ground and will have a goal kick.
Whereas, you know, we talked about the first half, about that gap, you know, but behind the attacking line, there was, you know, 30, 35 yards between the defensive line and the attackers. Now, every time that ball comes out, Weston's getting first contact and a lot of the time retaining possession and building pressure. Here he is again.
Burke Farling, and again, he'll draw a foul. There's got to be a point here. The referee, you feel like every possession, if it's getting broken up, it is by a foul from Edgeworth. Their frustration is going to flow over to the referee at some point.
I'd love to know how many times he's been fouled.
Knocking on the door of double digits, you'd have to think.
Yeah.
Feeds that ball nicely out to Burston.
I tell you what's nowhere near double digits. This is the amount of times he's given away the ball.
And Kuru crossed it into the box. The first leap wasn't there, but Curran does see it away. Now who's going to get the yellow card? It's going to go the Western player in the ground, who I can't see for the referee.
It's Dylan Burston, I would suggest, having coached him and seen that tackle before.
And you've got it. No, it is Dylan Burston coming away from there. Yep. It's Chris Hatfield just arguing the case.
I've seen that since he was 12. So when I started coaching, I coached him in my first ever year. I was a 12-year-old playing in under 14s, and he pulled off a tackle exactly like that right in front of me. And I think he learnt when he played under me that I wasn't going to accept that.
Old habits die hard.
They do. They do.
And you feel sometimes in games too, just little things like that can be just enough to release the pressure valve for a side. And Conway drives it long.
Or I think it just it keeps that pressure up. Like, they're just relentless at the moment, and I don't think they'll be unhappy with the card. It looks like Cooks Hill taking the lead. So again, I've got a happy assistant tomorrow.
4.5 remaining regulation time. Zorro will be hoping that the fourth official puts up a 1 with the board, surely.
My young bloke plays for Magic, and he was going there. They have a bit of banter between them. And so Zorro might...
have the last laugh?
He might have the last laugh. The old man, I think he gets called.
Now Weston here, can they do the same and pull one back, or could it be Edgeworth?
I know I can't claim it, but you know I did say it could be a night for first-timers, Cooks Hill and Weston.
You did say that Cooks Hill and Weston off the air. I will give you that. Actually, I said you at half-time when we first discovered it was Cooks Hill leading, that you probably should have made it more public earlier, but we'll credit you for it. Pedisano now.
I tell you what, it would be a big moment and it's exciting. Having been involved in it, it's actually great for your whole club. So it'd be nice for some new clubs to actually taste it. It's such a special night, especially if you're host, if you're away from home. The travelling group have a fantastic time. You'll get the odd supporters that come away. Yeah, it's a fantastic moment, whether it's home or away. If it's home, it's fantastic for your whole club to get around. And, yeah, you draw an A-League team, you can be a great night and possibly financially quite good to build your club.
And to touch on it, it'd be interesting. You'd have to think, as we see this go forward, we'll come back to that in a moment. Goodman trying to feed it through, and the defence converges. Some more subs coming for Edgeworth.
Still think there's a long way to go in both games. There's maybe not much time, but it wouldn't feel like it's going quickly.
It certainly wouldn't. I think if you're a Cooks Hill player out there, even once that stoppage time, that will be the longest 2, 4, 6 minutes of your footballing careers to this point.
And I can remember travelling down to South Melbourne and losing in the 94th minute when the ref had put up 3 minutes of stoppage time.
Little step up there, an opportunity, a half chance. It was well crossed in, but just headed wide.
Great ball here from Brady. Oh, I've got to say, he hasn't had a lot of ball here in the second half, but when he has, he's looked quite dangerous. And
so Tatey and one other. So Tatey will come on for Goodman.
He's just faded out of the game, Goodman, hasn't he? Like, he's a dangerous player. He just hasn't got any ball, I guess.
And probably unsurprisingly, Pedisano will be one of the changes.
Yeah, and again, that's got to do with the card. He's also put in a pretty good shift for them.
So very busy defending Archibald and Archibald on this right side of their defence.
It's not a bad sub at Tatey at this time. Can create a goal, can score a goal. Good all-round player. Here he is in space inside.
Interest opportunity here, and just trying to work out who that other sub is that's come on the left there.
It's the left back. I can't think of his name. Mason King.
Mason King in the 13th. Thank you.
Yep. It's a nice little run there. He's done well and got a corner.
Done probably exactly what Pete McGuigan's asked of him to get himself involved, get some touches and add some energy.
Yep. Well, he definitely added a spark there. He's quite energetic getting forward there. And it appears Edgeworth have a size advantage, but they haven't. It's bizarre. Set pieces, they haven't.
Headed onto the back post and deflected off of Weston play, says the referee. Okay.
Yeah. On the flip side, defensively, they've looked in all sorts. So it's been a strange one.
I did laugh. We were talking about the Foots versus Nyankuru, and then we had Wowries versus Nyankuru. That's a big height difference, that one.
You better hope your zonal players are attacking that ball.
This time Nyankuru peels out to the back, you know. Better match up. This one crossed in deep to that back post again, headed towards goal, punched away by Stevens. Did well. Recovery efforts. Again, crossed back deep, looking for the volley. Stevens parries it away. Second effort. Play on. Gets the ball, and he did get the ball. That bursting in there. It's went in and under and got the ball first, and he was still on the ground, and the player, it was still in Burston, and then the player came over the top of him. Did what he had to do, got to the ball first. I just feel as this ticks on, Zaney, that the tempers are starting to get a bit edgier.
I actually feel a goal coming, though. That might be just me wanting to get back into the warmth of the car.
You just don't want to do overtime. We are into stoppage time at Magic Park, and the fourth official just put the board up here, and I did not see it, so that's helpful. But we're into stoppage time here as well.
No, it's really strange, isn't it? Your bearings are all wrong. You're so used to, well, I'm used to being in the dugout or on the field when I was younger, but being on the opposite side, it's strange, isn't it? Seeing the grandstand getting ripped apart after so many years, it's
been one of those iconic fixtures just sort of towering over everything here, hasn't it?
But it's going to be, like I said earlier, the facility here will be such a breath of fresh air for the Weston club.
So, well, Chris Hatfield did well to draw probably a generous foul there right in front of us.
Well, they have troubled Edgy on set pieces, so...
Fouling. Let's see what they can do here. So, well, Conway comes out. Evans, Hatfield. Sorry, not Hatfield. Hurley coming back. Now Farling to the outside. A little touch to the...
It's almost the first thing he's done wrong.
Crosses in. I feel like there's not even communication at the back there. Harrison and Conway both went up for that one. They ended well. Now they go on the counter-attack. Jackson down the outside. There's lots of players screaming for the ball infield. He drops it back, though. Nyankuru trying to press in defence. They swing wide to the right with Brady. Brady, Foots calling for it. Hurley's there, steps up, clubs it forward. Harrison Absolutely kicks the cover off that. It's going to just trickle, and no one's really going to bother to follow it, and it's going to roll over the sideline. It's interesting, the first half, those sorts of longer balls from Weston were picked off as the referee says that will do us for regulation time. And this will need another 30 minutes minimum to be decided here at Weston. It is 1-1 at the end of regulation time. A goal in the first half to Ryan Foots. Had Edgeworth leading at the break, while Weston got one back through Aaron Niankuru early in the second half. And that sees us all tied up. So we're going to take a momentary break here. We'll rejoin you with the first half of extra time shortly. Chris McPherson and Damien Zane, round 7, preliminary Northern New South Wales Australia Cup action.
Ask a question, right? You got a smartwatch? Just ask me, you can see the numbers. I think it's all we're doing next. 250, the heart rate. Pardon me, I had brought better score here.
Yeah. You know what? I felt the same thing.
The fun games. Made this as an assistant. Doesn't all sit on his head, yeah.
We're back again here at Rockwell Automation Park now for the first half of extra time. All on the line between the two sides, sitting second and third on the Northern New South Wales NPL ladder. They are all tied up after 90 minutes, a goal apiece. The first half was all things Edgeworth. The second half, all things Weston. Who will come out and find the killer blow over the next 30 minutes of football? It's going to be an interesting one. Chris McPherson and Damien Zane bring you all the action. The one thing we can tell you is for the first time in their club's history, Cooks Hill United are through to the round of 32. They've won 2-1 at Magic Park to knock out the heavyweights Broadmeadow Magic. So there'll be some real celebrations from Zorro and the crew at Cooks Hill. That's going to mean a lot to their clubs, Amy.
Yeah, massive. I'm just sending him a message, congratulating him, and yeah, massive moment. Congratulations to Cooks Hill, and Yeah, big night coming up, whether it be home or away, and for the whole club, if it's at home, it's a fantastic night.
That's what I was going to say before. It'd be interesting to see for them, and equally here for Weston with the renovations going on, and you know what that looks like in terms of venues. I suppose number 2 sports ground might be an option, although the lights there not that great either.
Yeah, I think that's one of the venues. It depends on. I'm pretty sure. I'd say it's still like this. If you host an A-League team, the lights have to be to a certain standard, so they may have to move.
So I think also if you're the Channel 10 or Paramount main game as well,
yes,
that
yeah,
might be a bit different now that they put them all on Paramount Plus, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll wait and see. It's good news either way. I think Cooks Hill, you could offer them to play in the Arctic Circle and they'd take the game now.
Yeah,
no.
Great for them. Like I said, the away game is a great night for the for committee members if they go away and the players.
Shot taken, a little deflection, a little spill. Stevens gets it on the recovery. Heart and mouth for a moment there for George Stevens. And yeah, equally here for Weston. I'm not sure what it'll mean with the grandstand and different other things and whether that'll be an impact. I mean, it might just involve a whole lot of scaffolding. We've seen that at different venues, or there are some other wonderful venues around the region too. So we'll wait and see, but there's still time to be decided here. Hatfield gets on the ball inside the box, takes a shot. Harry Conway scoops it up and saves it. Chris Hatfield just showing how dangerous he is there. One-on-one, got to the ball and managed to outmuscle and outposition and got the shot away.
Yeah, it's a great effort. Just if he could have put it in a corner, it might have gone in. Getting bombarded by my son. He's trying to call me.
He's trying to ring you to tell you that probably trying to ring you to tell you that Zorro's given it to him.
Yeah. I'd say he's upset. He's pretty passionate about his club. And
Broadmeadow have had more than their fair turn. I don't think it'll be too many years before they're back there knowing the magic. Still time to decide this one here.
Great for Zorro, but he's done a great job at Cooks Hill from the time he's come in, and a great reward for them.
It's easy to forget that it's not that long ago that they weren't even in the NPL, right? So
yeah, that's right. So it's a fantastic achievement, and it's refreshing, I'd say, to see a different team in there. Great for them to experience it.
We talked pre-game that it's a very limited handful even in I think we're 12 years in. It's mostly been Broadmeadow and Edgeworth. We've seen Newcastle Olympic. We've seen Lambton a couple of times each. Azuri have been through. And, of course, South Cardiff in the first year. But that's kind of I think that's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
So Cooks Hill will add their name to that honour roll.
And I think once you experience it, like, you didn't have to pump the boys up for cup night. They just knew what was in store. And, you know, I know at Edgeworth we've had some amazing trips all over Australia, and yeah, like I said, there was no need to motivate them on cup night.
Yeah, Edgeworth have had some interesting ones. Was it Edgeworth that went up to Darwin one year?
Yep, we went to Darwin. That was good. Fantastic weather.
I was going to say it'd be nice in sort of June, July to go up there. 27 degrees during the day, 23 at night.
Yep.
Bit warm if you're a player, but still, I'm sure the day either side. And
well, I remember Macca got up there and we had a light jog and he did his calf. I don't know whether that was strategic. So
strategic and found his way to Monsoons or somewhere else.
Yeah,
that night, I'm sure.
Yeah, he had 2 nights out. So I don't know.
Official hospitality host Daniel McBreen. Back here, it is an opportunity now. Archibald on the run, and he's taken down. And there's already a card for Jackson Brady, so...
No, that was Harrison, I think.
Oh, it was Harrison, was it?
Yeah.
So Jackson Brady running away. I thought, dear me, we're going to be down to 10. That's the last thing they needed, but Archibald a bit slow to his feet. So Harrison goes in the book as well. Interesting to see. Weston still no changes. Well, again, not that they're looking like they're needing it. They've got plenty of spring, plenty of energy.
Well, I sort of look and you know, Musa Kamara probably stands out as one of the players, but who would you take off at the moment? Yeah, I don't think you would. And I think that's Q's probably in the position. He's, you know, this is what I'm going to say about coaches. He's mastermind if he keeps them on. If he doesn't and they lose,
he should have made changes.
He should have made changes. So,
and if he makes a change and then they lose, well, then he shouldn't have made changes. So damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys do it. This commentary is much easier. We can just, you know, just rip.
Yeah, yeah.
You got a foot in both gears, you're going okay.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like your heart rate and nerves would be a lot better doing this.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. In saying that, we had a fair bit go wrong on the weekend, the youth team, and against a bogey team, and we had a fantastic performance, and that was a really comfortable night as a coach. So hopefully they've got more of those types of performances in store for me.
You'd relish those ones when they come, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
just sit
they're
and just
nice.
bask in the glow afterwards.
Yeah, it's a nice...
Farling takes a strike, bounces and just past the left post.
It's a nice trip home from Sydney when you win.
So it was an interesting one. It was, it'd be tough. And you see some of those sides that come up, and I've done a bit of commentary for the NPL women's, and they come up and take on the Jets, and I think it was the Mount Druitt side that came up the other week, and it was the same night as the League Cup final for the women. And they were undefeated ladder leaders, and I heard them talking about, after they got beat 5-2 by the Newcastle girls, how rough of a trip it was going to be home when you come up expecting to win. A lot of people forget that the Newcastle sides are facing that every second week. They're going to play down there. Little moment in behind there, and again, that man that's just plugged the gap a number of times in Connor Evans is back there.
Hasn't he come into the match? I thought the first half, it didn't see a hell of a lot of him, but the second half, he was really pulling the strings there. I know we talk about Farling and Buswell, but Evans was behind him doing a lot of the work and getting the ball to them. So
it's neutralising too. You picked it up a couple of times where, one of the centre backs would get drawn in and he'd just be back there. He'd just react, and it meant that there wasn't the opportunity for Foots to get involved as a free kick goes the way for Burston.
Yep, good defending.
Iwasaki's going to go back to Stevens.
Iwasaki's been pretty good too. Back there, really composed on the ball. Looks like a good footballer.
Driven forward. Hatfield does well to get body position. Somehow comes away with that.
Yeah, had no right to, really, did he?
And he's tackled over the sideline. Looks like a cover tackle in a rugby match on a winger. He's looking a little ginger getting back up. And
as is Connor Evans, he looks...
I was going to say, it'd be interesting now, because obviously having played on the weekend, this is, getting into the 100-plus minutes.
Yep.
That's when the fatigue, they've pushed through that first wall that we talked about at half-time. Then it's like, can you physically push through a second wall? And if not, that's where Q Jallians is going to have some decisions to make.
I think it comes down to what happens also, If they take the lead here,
Might be a raft of changes.
Yeah.
Farling into the box, headed away.
Just gives you that energy spurt too, doesn't it, if you do take the lead.
Farling here, one-on-one. Gets to the outside. He's got pace. Up against King. King does a good job there, one-on-one.
He's had a good energy, hasn't he, when he's come on? And
Foots just slices through two defenders there who are trying to sandwich him. Now he's trying to bamboozle Nyankuru. Threads the diagonal ball.
It's a great challenge. It was, Chris Hurley had to win that one, and he did so. Really good effort.
Showing his experience. He's another one. You just feel there's so many of these players that just weren't anywhere near their usual selves in the first half. They look, you could be forgiven for thinking that they were just cooked from the weekend.
Yeah. Great challenge there, Farling. He's got to be man of the match no matter what the result ends up. He's been superb.
He certainly has. And he's still running around like it's the opening half. Footing a bit of a challenge there for him. Now Foots to get some space on the outside. George Stevens appeals to the assistant referee for offside. Foots cuts back against two, feeds the ball into the box for Tatey. He skims it wide for Melmoth.
Good defending by Iwasaki there, I think it was, just inside waiting for Furtz to cut in.
Stevens missed the punch there, but fortunately that man in Burston was there with the header. Now he tries to feed it forward, but can't get there, gets back for a header, does well.
That might be a foul.
That's Iwasaki, sorry, not Burston. Burston's filled in the centre of defence. Now Hurley gets a header away. They just keep on coming back, the Western defence.
They're starting to look a bit tired now, and they're on cue. There's a substitute over there. I don't know if that's Paul Sakawi then, possibly.
Moving along by Hurley, the bounce beats Hatfield. Curran under pressure from Buswell. Now the ball goes across the sideline. And yeah, I think it'll be Evans to make way, will it? It is. Evans to make way, and it'll be Musa Kamara.
Musa.
Interesting to see how he deploys Kamara here, because it's not exactly quite a like for like.
No, it looks like he's going to slot into midfield. I wonder whether Farling will go back to 6, possibly.
I feel like that
he's quite a flexible midfielder. Musa. He started up front, actually, when he was younger. At Olympic, I remember first seeing him, and really exciting type of player, but he's...
Nice touch inside, then back out.
He'll add heaps of energy here, and he's very electric.
Pace straight away,
and skillful.
Jose Tate. Oh, my goodness, Niakuru. That's a top-shelf save from Ben Conway. He was curling that inside the right post, and Conway just got there and parried it away for a corner.
Yeah, right behind that. That's a fantastic save by Benny.
I like that from Burke Farling. He kind of just went out of his way there to give Musa Kamara a nice little pat, and a few of the players coming to him and commending him on that little bit of energy he just injected there, because that all came from his initial work.
And it just showed how fatigued players are at this stage when someone fresh and sharp like him comes on. Just a little wall pass and lost his man. Great cut back.
Crossed in. Conway with a parry. Kamara can't quite get there. And now all of a sudden the counter is on. They're pushing forward. The pass is early. Forces the runner to pull up. Feeds it wide again. Boots is going to shape it to the left, but they can't get the ball quite to him.
Great composure there. That's a good decision.
It forward. Niankuru just happy to lay it back. Burston sends it wide for Archbold.
Yeah, great composure by Burston, and great effort there by Weston to get behind the ball. Efforts like that win you games, especially when you're under fatigue. Shows I think that's the difference between Western this year and possibly in past years. You know, I'm not sure they always had that many players chasing back in those situations, and there's a different feel to this Western team, I think.
To that point, it kind of looked a little bit the Western of old in the first half, didn't it? There were some players just not quite, those second and third efforts weren't quite there.
Yeah, they looked lethargic and playing within themselves. There's a strange sort of half.
Oh, it'll be interesting to know what Q has to say after the game if they do get the win. And look, again, as a coach, that's when you can tell the narrative and say, oh, yeah, no, I just told the boys to just keep it within themselves and just you know, make sure we had the energy in case we needed to make a run in the second half as Kamara gets into the box.
Great ball, a great forward run.
It's going to be...
There's no doubt he fixed some things at halftime.
Yeah.
Like I said, they were just pinning Edgeworth down. The attacking players seemed to be playing more narrow and closer to Hatfield, and things started happening, and they were pressing higher. So
chip forward here, chance inside the box, headed away. That's Harrison again there.
It's also a lot easier when you're down to have a team talk and fix things. When you're up, you're sort of saying, keep doing the same thing, but you know the opposition are going to change something. And
Weston sends it back. Stevens headed forward. They're working it through midfield, both sides. Farling, even he just starting to show the signs of a little bit of load and fatigue.
Oh, mistake there.
Hatfield now, he's got lots of defenders to work with, but that doesn't seem to phase him. He takes a shot from range, and Conway takes that easily.
Got the feel of penalties here.
It certainly does. Both sides just looking like they're slowly just being sapped of energy.
I hope not, because it's an awful way to lose, and it'd be an awful way to, you know, go through all the way to the final stage of the cup, and then, you know, sometimes it can be one player that misses. It's brutal, this game. So I hope someone can get a goal and win it.
You'd like to see it go. 120 minutes is a fun way to decide it. Penalties are heartbreaking. I mean, there's heartbreak either way. It just feels more momentous. I know the neutrals would probably, some of the neutrals would probably like to see it, but again, undoubtedly, you've been in those change rooms either side of it. As we go to the break here in extra time, all locked up still at 1-1. It was a story of Edgeworth in the first half of regular time. It was a story of Weston in the second half of regulation time, and it feels like fatigue is the story so far in extra time, unsurprisingly, for these two sides as they get through 105 minutes of football. We've got 15 minutes more to try and decide this, otherwise it will go to the penalty spot. We're going to take another short break. We'll rejoin you with the second half of extra time in the round 7 Northern New South Wales preliminary rounds of the Australia Cup. Weston and Edgeworth all locked up at 1-1.
Only one side this year scored twice against Edgeworth. New Lantern. 4-2. 4-2. They had a couple of those games at New Lantern, haven't they?
After a very brief break, we are back with the second half of this Australia Cup round 7 Northern New South Wales preliminary fixture. We see another change being made, and I'm just trying to work out which team that was for. I have to feel that it's an update from around the league as well, the NPL. New Lantern and Newcastle Olympic early in the second half, all tied up at 2-2. We're just talking in the break that New Lantern have the honour of being the only side to have scored more than once against Edgeworth this season. Could Weston become the second side? Lambton maybe snare their first win on what is a momentous night in Northern New South Wales football so far for one side, maybe a second here in Weston. Chris McPherson and Damien Zane bringing you all the action here, and it's been 105 minutes of edge-of-your-seat stuff. 15 minutes more that promises to be much the same.
Well, Weston have started much the same way as they did when they were running this way in the game. It might have something to do with it.
Kamara lays it off. Archibald. Deflected, spills out wide. It's not going to quite get across the byline, is it? It is. And we'll have a corner.
It's a good block there by Wowries. Say any time you strain at this time, you're going to feel cramp coming on.
Just trying to pinpoint who that extra change was that was made at break, but we'll come back to that. Headed away for the time being. Probably the least effective of the corners that Weston have delivered. There's Burke Farling again. Still bouncing around. A very brief 60-second break that he had seems to have given him a spark. Chris Hatfield being harangued there by the defence.
Oh.
Hurley decides to take one from range. There's the change. I've just spotted it. It's
Ben Hahn.
16 on for Edgeworth. Is Van Hahn, yeah.
Yeah, Riley Van Hahn.
Figure out who he's come on for, though, is as puzzling as anything. Maybe Rodwell, is it that's gone off?
Yeah, it is. And looks like Foots has just dropped behind him. Playing as a 10.
Hatfield now racing away, trying to get past Harrison, but Harrison's going to parry it across the sideline. Archbold will take the throw.
The other thing you've got to start thinking is who can take a penalty without thinking too far ahead.
Well, one thing I don't think we'll see is I don't think we'll see a Gray Wiggle moment, that's for sure. I think Stevens and Conway will be the men in net, and both of them have shown some exemplary reactionary saves so far tonight. I'll tell you what, though, with how my hands and feet feel, I wouldn't like to be a goalkeeper at the moment. Cold, stiff feet, hands trying to parry that ball. It's all part and part of the trade, though, I suppose.
Yeah, you've got to be different. I don't think I'd like to be one at any time. And, yeah, my son's one. As I said, I can't really explain it. His personality probably fits it. But, yeah, you've got to be a bit crazy, I think, to be a good one.
There's another one in the Burke Farling being fouled tally. That's definitely double digits, I think.
Mate, he's one hell of a player, isn't he? He's really good to watch.
Certainly is.
Great to get, players like him into the league. It's fantastic.
He's a good age, too, if they can hang on to him for a little bit. He's only 27.
Yeah. Hopefully he's
Hopefully he's enjoying it and wants to hang around for, imagine if he likes this, what do you think of the summer?
Yeah. Not sure he'll love the summer up at Weston. It's a bit hotter.
Downtown Head-and-Greater Beach.
Yeah.
They've got the drive.
It's a great ball.
It is a beautiful ball for Hatfield. Chris Hatfield's personal cheer squad just to our right here, and he's one out there. That'll enthrall them. Dancing into the 18-yard box, and he's going to take a shot. He can't quite get the angle to get one away. He pops it back. What else can they do? They lay it back, of course, to who else but Farling. Now Kamara. Archbold with him. Just Edgeworth are doing well to clog the lanes and shut things down.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a foul, but I thought King probably went down too easy and probably the referee saw that and decided not to give it.
Little bump there. He might have gotten away with this here. Foots gets it over the crossbar. Little touch from Stevens. I don't know whether Stevens needed to get a touch on it, but he was much more comfortable doing so.
Yeah, it was a good chance. Great save. I think he had to. I think it might have gone in.
A few of the Western players just challenging the referee on it and asking also about the challenge over here, but it's consistent with what he's done all day when they've gone shoulder to shoulder and battled for the ball.
Well, look, I thought that could have been a foul down here, but I thought King went down too easy. And here I thought, yeah, possibly slight foul, but it was pretty much shoulder to shoulder. So
Brady drives it in, shorter. Stevens.
Oh, that is a great header.
That is a great header. Who's that rocketing into the net? He's just gotten a big hug from his goalkeeper. Is that Iwasaki?
Iwasaki.
He just came from nowhere and somehow headed that away. I thought it was in for all money.
Yep.
Again, he's been outstanding since half-time.
Yep.
What if Weston can continue the sort of football they've played in the sort of 65 to 70 minutes we've seen so far across the rest of the year, they're going to give this competition a red-hot shake, and you feel that these two teams will be right there when the whips are cracking in the NPL season as that one's lobbed well wide of goal. Now another change coming for the Bears. And Hatfield makes way.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I thought he might have been a key penalty taker, Chris Hatfield, to be fair, at this point of the game. But
maybe Q thinks they can win it. Is that Brock Beveridge coming on?
Certainly is. Not often you see a man wearing number 2 playing at the head of attack.
Yeah, it's quite a solid looking player. He's sort of got that sort of Mitch Duke type of look to him. Hopefully for Weston he can score like Mitch Duke did last night.
Oh, I was going to say, if they get a set piece and look to the head of Beveridge, he looks like a likely sort. And again, follow that Duke sort of piece there. Edgeworth more interested in appealing for a handball than worrying about tracking back in defence. And Archbold feeds it through. Kamara just can't quite get there. Sorry, it's Niankuru. Straight away.
See what he's
Conway just wants
looking
to
at.
clear it away.
Yeah, but he's just given the ball away there.
Beveridge plays it out. Dom Archbold.
This is a midfielder, right? Farling just wants that ball all the time. That's, you know, for young kids watching, that's what a midfielder is all about. Just wanting to get on the ball and affect the game, and he's really, really good to watch.
Certainly is, and if you're a Western fan, you couldn't be happier with the import they've picked up this season in Farling. And he's a big part of why they are still 1-1 in this game. His work's been incredible. He's been all action, all involvement, all the time. It's clearly their best in the first half, and it's still, despite the uplift from everyone else, been their best in the second half and in extra time.
Yeah, best on field. I think it daylight between him and second.
Here he is again. Wins out. Second and third effort. Gives it all.
These are the dangerous moments.
Niankuru one-on-one. Archbold looking to overload. Beautiful ball out for him. Thread into the box. Beats everyone. It's going to be struck from distance. Deflected. Conway comes out and picks it up. And
there was Beveridge. He come on his weaker side, but good chance. Great run by Dom Archbold. And you just feel Weston, Buswell, Niankuru, they've got a few players that can make things happen here.
Nice ball again through Farling. A couple of players on their heels in midfield for the Eagles. Farling again draws a foul. Just that agility, change of angle that he does there against especially tired defenders. The more tired they've gotten, the more they've clipped him. And yeah, he's just... The fact that he's managed to go at the pace and effort and the end-to-end that he has for nearly 120 minutes after playing on the weekend, that's some sort of motor.
Yeah, it'd make for some interesting reading GPS data. It's going to be interesting how they recover on the weekend. It's especially the Western boys, they've put in a massive shift, a lot of them tonight.
Into the box, Hurley's there, collides with Conway. Referee lets it go, and Conway retrieves it. Hurley's down, and he's going to go over and check on him as the referee.
Tell you what, the delivery a couple of times just landed there in the box. Going forward, if Weston can work on their runs off these set pieces, I think they've got some goals in them from set pieces.
Yeah, certainly see some more changes come now.
Yeah, it looks like Buswell and Archbold looks like he's cramping. And that's Caelan Law, who was part of the Jets Academy. Come on. Crafty young midfielder.
Bit of spark to come.
Ryan Blackburn, he was at Edgeworth years ago when I was there in the youth program, and also went into the Jets, and we played up here in a trial game up at Weston, and he was very sharp that night. So Caelan's more a passing type of midfielder, really tidy on the ball, so he can find a final pass or has a goal in him. So Ryan is more runner of the ball, quite electric there. He's recovering there, you can see his speed.
Great hustle chasing back.
Yeah, exactly what you want when you make a sub, isn't it? Big game, you just want that effort from the fresh players.
Beveridge pushing forward now, a little bit heavy with his touch, and does well to recover. Pops it in towards the right post, but Conway's there again. And you're talking just before about how they recover. A big game for Western this week, and they've got the El Clasico against Maitland at Cook Square Park. So Edgeworth take on New Lambton. And there's which
Battle of the Eagles.
Here's a battle of the Eagles.
That might be interesting.
Close
If
quarters. Almost a little back heel there.
New Lambton were to win tonight, it might be a tough game there on the weekend. Getting to desperation stages for the New Lambton Eagles. They sort of need some wins soon.
Certainly do. It is still 2-2 after 67 minutes there. Right in that contest, they've just struggled to close those ones out.
Really interesting, the goal scorers, if it's correct.
The side flag goes up against Foots.
Okay.
He finishes into the net, but that won't matter.
Yeah, the goal scorers for New Lambton, Tommy O'Connor and Furatani, who were two really good performers at Magic. The game we did on the Friday night.
Speaking of this weekend, Cooks Hill on the back of their momentous achievement tonight will have match of the round on Saturday up against Bell Swans in a crucial game. Again, we were talking about that earlier, Zany, that 3 points for either of those sides will give them some more comfort in getting away from that relegation zone. And Bell Swans come in on the back of a 5-game winning streak. Cooks Hill have been win, loss, win, loss. Loss, win, loss, win over their last 5. So.
Yeah, I'd say at the moment they're not really interested in the game on the weekend, Cooks Hill. I'd say they'd be just basking in the glory.
I think come Saturday mornings, I'll have them back eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Because we'll also, for them, especially at the moment, we'll keep them in their
done.
faint finals hope. Nice little touch around. Kalen gets forward, drives it into the legs and goes across for a corner. Now we talk about that set piece. Is this where the likes of a Beveridge comes to the fore with his height? Looks like Beveridge and Hurley are going to set up as the two main targets pushing up. Iwasaki at the back.
And also important, the smaller players are there just in case there is a loose ball, and really important set piece here.
Surprise. Farling on it again. He's been consistent with his delivery. Gets this one up and over. It falls down towards the back post, and it's just... Oh, Iwasaki does well to feint out.
Great ball.
Chipped in to the back post now and parried into the side netting. That was a good effort up off the ground from the big man.
Yeah, nice football there. Really like Iwasaki. He's a good pickup also. Good run there by Blackburn and decent effort by Beveridge. The young boys have come on and added some energy.
Fourth official shows us 1 minute. We spotted him this time of added time, so not long left. Can they find something here? The Bears. Beveridge just not quite heavy enough with that touch, and all of a sudden Curran comes away with it. Well broken up by Burston. Tatey, he's been almost non-existent since he's been out there. Hasn't really had a chance to get involved.
Iwasaki again. Vital challenge.
Kamara heads it forward. Played forward again, Beveridge. Little 1-2, Beveridge down on the outside. And he's fighting tooth and nail.
Nice play there by the young ones there.
Quick throw in. Opportunity here for Weston. Deflected in a corner. This could be the last chance saloon here for either side to conjure something. We've got a player down on the far side.
I think that was Mason King. It was a tough one because Blackburn was away and the sort of hands everywhere, but it was a fantastic challenge in the end.
What can they come up with here? Farling will take his time. I think both sides know this is essentially it. The referee calling out worries. He's going to get a card here. So a fourth yellow for Edgeworth. Won't mind that if it means that they can see off this challenge.
I thought the last ball was fantastic. They've really got to attack the ball here, get three of them in.
Farling up, Player goes to ground there from each side, and it's seen away, and Curran goes forward. Kamara gets up to it. Hurley back on his feet, gets there, and he's wrangled. Advantage played. Farling. Is this where he lands a killer blow? Plays it into legs and go for a corner. Tell you what, if you're a Weston fan, there's very little doubt that you've got no fingernails left, and you're probably falling off the front edge of your seat if you're tuning in at home. They're on tenor hooks here at Rockwell Automation Park. Farling over the corner. We're well into stoppage time in the second half of extra time here in the Australia Cup. He drops this one short. It's well dealt with. Farling gets a chest to it, brings it down. He's got Kamara there with him, but he crosses it into the box, and it's headed away. Composed now. Kamara gets forward. Will he take a shot? Will he distribute? No, he goes himself, tries to play it through, and that will be full time of extra time here, and we're going to penalties in the Cup. And now it's time for George Stevens and Ben Conway to be tested. Who will it be shining from the penalty spot, or will it be one of those names shining in the net for their side and driving them through to the round of 32? Again, we might just take a quick moment for pause here from Rockwell Automation Park as we head towards penalties in the Northern New South Wales round 7 preliminary fixtures of the Australia Cup. Western Bears and Edgeworth Eagles cannot be separated after 120 minutes. 2 hours of enthralling action, and it's all going to come down to penalties shortly.
I really like the way he plays. Sometimes, you know, it's not always, it's not so much all the time. And you're right to see a reward for those sorts of players, right? As opposed to the ones that just get all the talent in the world and just that bit of it.
Well, we come back to you again from Rockwell Automation Park, and it is now time for the penalty shootout to decide who will go through and join the Australia Cup round of 32. Will it be Edgeworth returning for another foray into the Cup's deep rounds, or will it be Weston on their first endeavour towards the 32? Time will tell us here, but first up, it will be Edgeworth through Jackson Brady up against George Stevens to get the Eagles on the board. A hush is over Rockwell Automation Park. Well, large majority of the crowd have moved down behind the Southern goals here, and unsurprisingly, they want the front row seats, especially if their Bears are to progress to the round of 32 for the first time in the competition's 12-year history. But for the time being, it's Jackson Brady v George Stevens. The whistle goes. Brady strikes it down to the bottom left. And the Eagles are on the board.
Yeah, I was going to say before the shootout, you know, two fair-sized goalkeepers, but they stand in the goal. It looks so easy, doesn't it? There's a lot of goal there, but nerves get in the road, and all you can do is pick your spot and back your technique. Some players will wait for a goalkeeper move.
Conway going out for a little bit of mind games. He wanted to get the football off the referee first. The referee was having no part of that. And he came out just to give Aaron Niankuru some, I'm sure, friendly words of advice.
Yeah. Gets that from his mother, I'd say.
A lot of mentality and mental games when you're a keeper in this stuff. Niankuru steps up, drives it to the same spot, the bottom left. And we're back to 1-1. It's tied up in the shootout, one each. Niankuru made no mistake.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do as a coach now. You're just hoping your players can step up.
Melmoth now up to the spot.
Yep.
He will take the second strike for Edgeworth. Stevens animated, bouncing about in the net. Drives it and does well. Stevens down to his left. It was almost a mirror image of the Socceroos save from Matt Ryan earlier today. George Stevens is up and about, and rightly so. He's saved the second penalty from Joe Melmoth, and it stays at one each.
Yeah, back when I started playing, would have been a perfect penalty. Hit the side netting and it's in, but it was at the right height. Keepers can move these days, and that was some save.
As you said, both these keepers, plenty of reach, plenty of range. They're big bodies and they're mobile, so...
Yeah, talk about, you know, and I said that there's still a lot of space, but, you know, George's jump there, you know, dive was unbelievable how quick it was, and strong hand pushing around the post there, and great save. This is a big one, I reckon.
Burke Farling, Ben Conway out off his line just before, trying to show how big he is, trying to make the space look smaller. Farling now, the American, comes in, strikes it, gently places to the right. Foxes Ben Conway, and like he has with everything, so much poise for Burke Farling. Buries that one, and it is now 2-1 to the favour of Weston. Advantage Bears.
Yeah, all class. He's been all class all game. I always think when you make a save, that next penalty is key. You need to execute, and who better to step up than Burke Farling? Massive penalty now, like pressure's on this one, and decent taker here in Jose Atedi.
I was going to say, man, you know, you coach him at both Edgeworth and Broadmeadow. Here he comes, no fussing about it. Tatey strikes it, and George Stevens the other way, saves another. I tell you what, Burke Farling's got some headlines, but if they progress from here, George Stevens is going to be equal billing.
Yeah, he's training with us, George, and he's been fantastic for our goalkeeping group, and he's come from nowhere. At the start of the year, he didn't have a club. He was just training with us. He's worked with Andrew Goldman. He wasn't even playing. And a few clubs turned him down, let me tell you. And in second division and
am I right in saying he'd
first
spent
division.
some time previously at Edgeworth? Maybe through the juniors?
Yeah, no, he was there, I think, last year in the 20s. So
a little bit extra. And Ben Conway's antics have raised the ire of the referee. He gets himself a yellow card, but at the end of the day, unless he saves this one, it's probably not going to matter too much.
No. Fun fact, I've seen an Edgeworth keeper sent off in a penalty shootout.
Beveridge strikes it, top left, beyond the diving Conway. All the antics in the world weren't saving that. That was in the postage stamp. Well done from Brock Beveridge, the late substitute. And now all the pressure mounts on Edgeworth.
Yeah, great penalty there.
This is must make for Tyler Harrison. We talked about him earlier on in the game. Signing this year, joined the club for Glenorchy, from Glenorchy in the Tasmanian NPL. He played in the round of 32 last year. Can he put Edgeworth through? No, he can't. George Stevens, a third consecutive save, and the Weston Bears are going to the Australia Cup round of 32. What a fairy tale here at Rockwell Automation Park, and a well-deserved win for Weston. Heartbreak for the Edgeworth Eagles. But Damien Zane, George Stevens was phenomenal there, but I think, as we touched on during extra time a number of times, most of this credit certainly needs to go to Burke Farling. He was daylight ahead of anyone in terms of best players on his pitch.
Yeah, they had a number of good performers, but yeah. Look, when it then gets down to penalties, you're waiting for big players to step up, and it's George Stevens couldn't be happier for him and prouder of him. He's come so far, he works so hard, and yeah, when you work hard, you deserve good things to happen, and normally they do. So yeah, he's going to enjoy this, and great that we've got another new team in the final rounds. It's so exciting for these new clubs to experience it, and yeah, wish them all the luck in the world.
Well, 3 penalty saves in succession. You don't often see that in a penalty shootout. The stakes are always at their highest when we come time for a shootout. So a huge congratulations to George Stevens for that. And while we're talking congratulations, there was someone pre-game that said that Cooks Hill and Weston would go through to the round of 32, Zane.
Yeah.
There's a reason you're here.
Yeah. It's a freeze. I think that's about it. Well, but yeah, no, it's great. It's, we were talking about it before off air, and when you thought about it, hang on, there's 2 clubs that haven't qualified, and maybe it's one of those nights, and it's turned out that way. So it's good to keep it a bit different, and yeah, we wish Weston and Cooks Hill football clubs all the best on behalf of all the football people in Newcastle. It's going to be exciting. Make sure you get out and watch them if they are at home, and support the Newcastle teams.
Yeah, 100%. It was a Titanic Cup tie. It had it all, and it came down to the finest of margins. Weston survived the shootout thriller to book their place in the national spotlight. From 90 minutes to 120 beyond, that was the magic of the Cup on full display. And now for Cooks Hill and Weston, they'll have another opportunity to experience that magic again later this year. I'm Chris McPherson. On behalf of myself and Damien Zane, thank you for joining us for a night where dreams were chased, and one came true here for Weston, closing it out in the Australia Cup, round 7 preliminary fixtures. It is Weston Bears winning 3-1 on penalty shootout.
That was nerve-wracking. That's 2 in a row now. I hope they play Newcastle again. Rosie, come on, Bear. Never seen. I'm a bit disappointed you blokes didn't go up in the cherry picker over there. All 3 of us got right out on the ground.
Olympics at a red card.
All 3 of us that's coming.
How good was that? That was great. You know what?
Every time I commentate, Western win. He trains with us, that's why he's so good. George.